FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Josh Allen with a huge bounce-back performance. Same goes for the Bills, who improved to 1-1 after a 38-10 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders.
Good to get a win. Great environment here in Orchard Park, Western New York. The fans are outstanding.
Just us getting back to who we feel like we are. Guys went out there and executed it.
Who's going to stop that offense, So
we're trying to go out there and play our best ball, and this is just something to give us a little confidence.
I mean, there's no stopping the Bills. It's Super Bowl or bust, let's be honest.
Just win, baby.
There he is.
Mike Danger.
Wow, what another great performance by the Buffalo Bills.
Gene Battaglia.
And then you get the Commanders. Oh, pour it on for the Commanders, please. You're like, oh, gosh, that's a Super Bowl team over there.
We got two, not one, but two Monday Night Football games tonight.
The Orioles and Rays clinched playoff spots yesterday when the Rangers lost.
Oh, Sabres hockey.
Blue Jackets head coach Mike Babcock announces his resignation.
This week's AP Top 25 poll was released yesterday.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Monday always feels better when it's a victory Monday. We got a lot to get to in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us and listening along locally at 95.7 FM, AM 950. We sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Find The Fan Rochester on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. And we've got our video stream up at YouTube and Twitch at The Fan Rochester if you want to watch the Sports Bar. Mike Danger here. Over there, that's Gene Battaglia.
I guess if you're watching right now or you just want to see, I look like a lobster right now. And I learned, like, hey,
you got some color this weekend.
Yeah, if you're going to go home, as I did over the pandemic, meaning, okay, we're taking
you're gonna
everything
shave. Yeah, you're gonna shave the head.
Yeah, like, don't be out in the sun. This is like the first time this happened. I didn't realize like I would be on top of a press
box.
Been
on vacation. You've been out in the sun on vacation since you've gone bald.
Right, and I've worn hats and everything else. I just didn't think for a college football game they would put you on top of the press box and then the reflection off the aluminum
you were roasting
seating
a little bit there.
Yeah, so I came home like, whoa. So it looks
I'm kind of jealous. You got a savage tan over the weekend, Gina. I mean, I was out on Saturday. I got some yard work done. I didn't get a savage tan.
No,
you came in here with a savage tan.
Stop. Here's the thing. Yes, my last name is Italian. My mother is Irish. She gave me this Irish skin. Me and son,
you
not
don't
very
tan,
good.
you
No.
burst into flames.
Yes, exactly.
The SPF 100 wasn't doing you any favors. Well, now you know. Now you know. Where were you in Wilkes-Barre?
I was in La Plume. That's the name of the town that was just kind of north of Clark Summit, which is a suburb of Scranton. Yes.
And St. John Fisher got the win.
They got the win.
And you got the win over the PA announcer there at the...
It was so annoying. I've been doing these games for how long? We've been doing the high school football, and this guy down there was just some sort of hero screaming into the microphone. You don't have it, do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, I thought you were looking for something.
I got a text message from Terrible Time Timmy, who was here at the studio while you were doing the game. He's like, "Are you listening to this?" And I said, he goes, "Are you listening to this? Because I think Gene is going to kill their PEA guy." And I'm like, "I'm not, but maybe I should start." And sure enough, you hear the guy in the background, right? And he's just kind of like, he's treating this Division III football game like it's his own personal NFL accomplishment.
Maybe that's what he was auditioning for,
right?
But it's a little ridiculous when there's only 400 people in the stands.
And by the way, in the NFL, it's kind of, I get it. You're trying to get the fans fired up, and every stadium has their own traditions, and the PA guy is a part of that. But like some of them are just like,
that's Arizona, Minnesota,
annoying,
yeah,
annoying. Like, is there anybody in that stadium that's getting into that? I don't know.
Where do you come down on the Broncos thing where the guy goes, and it's another Broncos, and everybody yells first?
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember that happening at Soldier Field, or they would say a Bears first down, and everybody would go, where? And then the PA guy would go, on the field. Like, I think that's fun. Yeah. Like, instead of, because normally he would say first down on the field, and then the fans were like, where? And then he would stop, and he would pause, and you'd go, on the field. That was fun. Like, the interaction is fun. But when you're drawing that much attention to yourself as a PA announcer, that's a little obnoxious.
Maybe I can get Dan DeLorean. He's still hanging around to pull that audio. It was pretty obnoxious. It was very obnoxious.
But you survived. You got the Savage Tan.
No, I'm burned.
The Bills. The Bills got the win on Sunday.
Bills got the win, very comfortable in a style that should please every Bills fan. When you open up the second half with a 9-minute drive, okay, be on your way, pat an inferior opponent on the head, and get out of here.
It wasn't always like that, though. I mean, there were some boos after that first 3 and out.
Well, yeah, and this is what I would attribute it to. Bills fans like to drink. Okay, they do. And it's like when you like to drink, like if we have a conversation right now, sober, but when the Bills go 3 and out.
After you gave up an opening drive touchdown, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't think it was like open boom. It was like, that was kind of it at this point. Like, okay, you know what? We still have, looks at watch, 54 minutes in this game to still play here.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But you were sweating a little bit. That first drive made you sweat a little bit.
I did.
The Bills were our survivor pick for week 2 as well.
I think that's our tradition. Whenever I feel like the first whiff of trouble, I will text danger, meme, or hope. I thought we were going to have people knocked out, but the Giants pulled it out last night. So only a few. If you pick Detroit, I saw some people pick Detroit, but really for Survivor this week, pretty much everybody advanced.
Yeah. All right, we've got a great show lined up for you. Let's set the table here in the sports bar. We'll talk more Buffalo Bills all afternoon here. Ryan Talbot from NewYorkUpstate.com, our guest, coming up at 4:25 later this hour from 13 Wham Sports and BuffaloPlus.com. We'll talk to Dan Fates about the Bills and the Raiders.
Yeah, so Dan was down on the field. We'll get his thoughts on not everything was perfect yesterday, but guys that we were zeroing in on last week, Spencer Brown, he played like a man yesterday.
That's right.
Do the Bills have a middle linebacker? I didn't know a middle linebacker could actually make an interception.
Yeah,
kind of cool.
Boy, it was cool. It was cool. As a observer watching from home, not being there, but you got to see it firsthand. Spencer Brown completely eliminated Max Crosby. I don't think they mentioned his name once on the broadcast. Like, was he even a part of that Raiders defense? He was invisible for the Raiders defensively. And as far as Bernard goes, like, imagine the magnitude of that play. Think about the magnitude of that pick. The confidence now that he can proceed with, knowing, hey, this was a big play. Like, we expect it now from Milano, and Milano had his own really, really impressive interception in yesterday's game. But when Bernard gets it and he can jump into the stands and be a part of all of that, like, if it's almost like you're accepted now. You're welcome. You're in. You can proceed with confidence now if you're Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a team effort. I mean, it's Jones putting on the pressure. I thought the defensive line was having their way. When you have 2 tackles playing the way they did yesterday,
fantastic.
Oliver and Jones, and let me tell you, Greg Rousseau, what's this going to look like when Von Miller returns?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, if you can get that kind of pressure from your tackles, and Oliver from the jump was fantastic. I mean, the first play of the game defensively, I mean, that first drive wasn't spectacular as the Raiders kind of marched down the field quickly and made you a little bit nervous as to how this game was going to go. But Oliver on that first play did sort of set a tone in terms of what Josh Jacobs was going to be able to do. He was going to be able to do nothing. What was it, 9 carries?
Yeah.
Minus 2 yards for Jacobs, which is like historically poor. I think there's maybe like 4 other instances where you've had that kind of negative performance out of a running back.
No, like, it is the first performance ever where a defending rushing he won the rushing title last year.
That's never happened.
That has never happened in the following year held to negative yardage. So yeah, great on the Bills run defense. I was just surprised that the Raiders kind of didn't do some of the things that they did on the opening drive, mainly, the misdirection. That seemed to be working pretty well there, and that seemed to open up some things.
I noticed it early, and we didn't have to bring it up because it didn't happen throughout the course of the game, but they were picking on Trey White.
Yeah. White was out of there pretty quick in the locker room. Look, the best corner on the field yesterday was Christian Benford.
Yeah.
The guy you spent a first-round pick on 2 years ago wasn't dressed once again. So, sure, like everything, this is going to be the MO. Bills can win, but we look at this team so closely on this show. in particular, that we're going to point out things that, okay,
Even the players who've been stars, who are paid like stars, when they don't show up, you can still say, Trey White took a bad angle, got beat on that play. Doesn't look like the same player we remembered he looked like earlier, basically pre-injury, pre-ACL injury.
It's also one of the top 5 receivers in the game.
Sure.
Like Adams, fantastic. He's going to be okay, apparently. He got dinged at the end of that game. Somebody called it a dirty hit by Taylor Rapp. I wouldn't go that far, but that was contact, certainly, on that.
Yeah, the Bills now prepare for Washington on Sunday. Washington, who themselves now go to 2-0 after an emotional win where they almost blew it at the end.
Can I look ahead to Miami? Hey, come on.
If we're going to talk about that secondary and the Bills' defense specifically, if you watched any of last night's game, and I don't blame you if you didn't, because who wants to watch Miami and New England? If you hate those teams, you hate those teams.
It's not that I hate New England. It's that they're a tough watch. They really are. Like, name me. Tonight, sure, maybe the Carolina Panthers aren't that sharp, but what do you expect from them? This is Bill Belichick, New England, and a former offensive guru there, and Bill O'Brien. And watching this last night, I'm like, no, it ain't it.
My observation from last night is, I worry that the Dolphins' offense is going to give the Bills' defense problems because of their speed. Their speed is going to be a problem for a Bills defense that isn't as young and certainly isn't as fast.
However, like most things, if you can disrupt that timing with Tunga Vailoa, I think you'll be... Look, you lost to Miami first go-round. You were pushed to the limit there in the December game, and they gave you a battle there, and even though they were down to their third-string quarterback in the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah, I think the Dolphins and the Jets are going to be problems for the Bills this season and moving forward. We already saw it with the Jets in Week 1, and I wonder if we are allowed to look ahead to Week 4, what that looks like for the Bills as they host Miami, their next home game here in a couple of weeks. You're welcome to join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That number is 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub in the new location, 135 West Commercial Street in ER, goodsmokebbq.com. Your observations from the game. What did you like? What did you not like? What do you think about next week's opponent in Washington, who gets the win against the Broncos? And Russ, let's ride. Let's ride. Let's not convert.
Do we feel bad?
Convert.
Do we feel bad that should have been PI in the 2-point conversion?
No sympathy. It's Sean Payton coached team, and for a guy who made as much noise about pass interference as Sean Payton did, zero sympathy whatsoever.
Yeah,
you can't win. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, "Hey, the ref shouldn't dictate the play of the game," and you can't have it both ways. It was close. You could have called it, but I'm not mad that they didn't call it.
There was also another guy open in the back of the end zone that Mr. Unlimited did not see, so I would also say that.
Yes.
Tim in San Diego starting us off.
There's our guy.
866-4326. What's up, Tim?
Sunburn on Saturday, and I'm surprised you didn't mention how ripe the air was on Friday at your Friday night football.
Listen. I didn't say anything.
No, I didn't either.
I plugged my nose and I didn't say anything. But HFL, as somebody who's a resident of HFL, we have a coworker who's a resident of HFL, and I texted him, "Hey man, why does HFL smell like cow s?" And he said they just spread it in the morning. We were all talking about it too. I was like, okay, as long as everybody's aware that the town smells like manure at this very moment. I love HFL. We love going there. It was awesome being there. But I think everybody there kind of knew.
It was like, whoa.
It smells like manure, Tim. And you're a graduate of HFL, so I'm not saying anything that you don't know.
Exactly, but I figured you should probably talk about it a little bit and how humorous it was, and I've got my my boots on the ground there with other people telling me about it.
Oh my God! It's a very specific musk that you take in when you get to HFL.
Yeah, Tim, how often would that happen down there when you were living down there?
When I was living, it would, just once in a great while. I think it's seasonal, so I think maybe it's the fall that, they spread it out and all that. But usually, it's usually spring, fall. But, it's one day, not a big deal, but you get through it.
We got through it.
Yeah, we did not mention anything on the air.
I wasn't going to say anything, Tim, but you brought it up. And I think if you're a resident of HFL, you know what we're talking about. It reeked.
Oh, yeah. But thoughts on the game? Josh Allen, methodical and efficient. I mean, took what the defense gave him. Didn't have to bring the sex cannon out in danger.
That's right.
As much as he tried last week. And so really great game from him. And still had very good numbers. I mean, if he's $40 million a year and you're still, putting up numbers like that, I'll take that any day. You mentioned Trey White. It's like, it was a little concerning yesterday, watching him kind of get beat a little bit here and there. But, overall, you mentioned the open defensive line really played well. Milano coming up with another interception, Terrell Bernard. Just a great game. After that first drive, woke them up and, they dominated, outscoring them 38-3 the rest of the game. So really, just take that kind of effort into Washington next week and, decimate them. And then, as you mentioned, Miami, speed kills. And, Waddle and Hill are going to be a very tough test. But also, Raheem Mostert has been very vital to that team as well. When he's healthy, he's a really good running back. It's just a matter of keeping him, healthy. So I think he could be a difference maker in that game in Week 4.
Well, as rowdy as everybody was for yesterday, Tim, I'm looking forward to hearing that atmosphere coming up in 2 weeks. Because if Miami comes in at 3-0, and even if they don't, if you have first place in the division on the line there, and as far as Josh Allen, get your thoughts on this. Honestly, I thought that was one of the best games he's played here. You don't need to throw the ball downfield. You can just do this, death by 1,000 paper cuts here. First down, and really, you can call it conservative. You put up 38 points.
It's not conservative. It's smart, not conservative. Smart, not conservative. That's if I was wondering what the definition of that was all last week when Ken Dorsey first said it, and it turns out it was what we saw yesterday, where Allen goes 31 for 37. That's an 83.7% completion percentage, pretty good. 274 yards and those 3 touchdowns with no picks. No fumbles. It was one of his better performances of his career. The numbers aren't eye-popping to the point where you're going to be like, oh, he's your offensive player of the week. It's fine. He doesn't have to be. He was efficient. He took what the defense gave him, and the Bills get the win.
Amen.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Next time we get invited, can you call people and just be like, okay, they're going to come down this day. Maybe we want to lay down the manure another day.
And Tim, if I can ask you a question here, and this is a little bit of a tease for I'll Drink to That, which is coming up here before 4:00. Our takes on tap. Tim, what are HFL's official school colors?
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow. It's black and
Wiz
yellow.
Khalifa.
Yes.
Yeah.
They come out to Wiz Khalifa. Yes, they're black and yellow. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you.
No problem.
There's Tim in San Diego. We didn't get into it, but on the broadcast Friday night, I don't know if you said black and gold or who said black and gold. I'm like, just come on.
You were like, it's yellow.
It's yellow. I'm like, their colors are black and yellow. They come out to Wiz Khalifa. Their jerseys are black and yellow. Who said gold? Well, the Section 5 website officially says that their colors are black and gold. I'm like, well, they need to change their colors then, because their colors as they stand right now are black and yellow.
All right. I seem to recall this like from years ago here. Like Saints gold, yes. Steelers yellow.
Yes. From the time we were children, the earliest of education was know your colors. How did we forget? Where did we get lost on what yellow looks like versus gold? The Packers?
Yellow.
Green and yellow. Not green and gold, green and yellow.
I think they say green and gold, don't they?
I think they do.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. You are yellow. That is yellow. If you know the difference between tonight, the Saints, that's black and gold. That's black and gold.
Could it be as simple as yellow has a negative connotation and we don't want to list that? Even though it's the color yellow, we're going to call it gold.
Then you're not being true to yourself and you're dumb. That's just stupid. Who's making up that rule? A 3-year-old who doesn't know the difference between yellow and gold? We know our colors. We've known them since preschool.
Can we bring this a little closer to home? What are the Sabres' official colors?
Sabres are blue, royal blue and yellow. I'm going to say gold. Now, some of their jerseys have gold. That's,
They have the one.
Mm-hmm. Those the anniversary jerseys that they had that were like white with gold trim. Like gold is gold. We know what gold looks like. The Notre Dame helmet is gold.
I think they call them the blue and gold, though.
I know
blue and yellow.
It's wrong. It should be yellow. It's so wrong. What are we doing? How do we lose our way?
Okay, I'm looking at this right now, and it says gold, and it's the color yellow.
It's yellow, right?
Yellow.
How did we get lost from age 3 to our adult life, where we look at yellow and say, "Oh, that's gold"? No, it's not. Florida State, gold.
It's very simple, okay? Yellow, you're a coward. What kind of journalism don't you want to do? Yellow. Like yellow
you're saying
gets
the negative connotation.
Negative, mellow yellow.
So
Nobody
we're supposed to buy in to this pitch that if you're really yellow and you're saying you're gold, you're somehow now a superior product.
How did yellow lose their identity? Become this negative word? That's really the real story here.
Any team that's actually white and yellow should be vanilla and yellow, just for a double negative connotation. What are your colors? Vanilla and yellow.
Vanilla. Now this goes back to, they're running a vanilla offense.
You don't like the negative connotation for vanilla.
Excuse me. Have you ever had good vanilla? Because vanilla is delicious. It is, and because vanilla is just so giving, it goes with everything. Is that what you're trying to say? Basic is the word you're looking for, not vanilla. Basic.
I think yellow has unfairly been given a negative connotation. Yellow by itself is a fine color, but yellow is not gold. Gold is gold. Yellow is yellow. Let's not mix the two up. We're not 3 anymore. We can do that, right? One of our regulars, John, was there at HFL. I would love for him to weigh in and tell me what's the difference between gold and yellow. What were you photographing on Friday night? Was it black and yellow or black and gold?
Just so you know, this is before I got there, just minutes before you did. Jack was in the press box, comes up to me. First time anybody has ever come up to me, putting their license right in my face. See, that's my name, Jack. This goes back to. It was
your take should be it's a take of the year nominee.
I'm trying to think of the genesis of this. I think it was just like an anti-Jack Eichel take. And like my kicker was, you don't even have a real name.
Jack isn't a real
Jack
name.
isn't. It's John or Jonathan, and Jack was the nickname.
Jack isn't a real name is take of the year nominee.
Just
quality.
like you wouldn't name your kid Mike, you name him Michael.
Jack isn't a real name. And Jack had to show you his driver's license. See, it is a real name. No, it's not. Nope. Jack is not a real name. Or neither is Gene, Mike, Chris. Yeah,
like Gene is not a real name either, I admit.
All right, let's get to Dan Fates at 13 Web Sports, Buffalo Plus. More on yesterday's win in Orchard Park, and we look ahead to Sunday, a trip to Washington to take on the Commanders, who are 2-0 on this young season. Dan Fates next in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country.
Buffalo Bills now 1-1 on the season. This after their win over the Raiders. Head coach Sean McDermott will address reporters and learn hopefully about the statuses of Leonard Floyd and Micah Hyde. They got nicked up yesterday. Dawson Knox on the team bouncing back after the Week 1 loss.
You're thinking about all the mistakes we made last week. We can't let that carry over to this week. We always have that 24-hour rule. We're done talking about it on Tuesday, so we're just kind of ready to move on, wipe that bad taste out of our mouth. So it's definitely good to move on.
Buffalo opening as a 6.5-point favorite against the Commanders. We'll talk to 13 Wham's Dan Fates coming up next here in the Sports Bar. Monday Night Football, 2 games tonight. 7 o'clock for the Saints and the Panthers, 8:15 for the Steelers and Browns. Red Wings home schedule, that is wrapped up. Team off today. They're in Indianapolis tomorrow. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader. The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Victory Monday. We welcome in Dan Fates, 13 Wham Sports, BuffaloPlus.com. I think everybody's in a good mood because the Bills did what we thought they were going to do. But of course, we like it when there's some action where, there's things that we can criticize. Good luck trying to find. I mean, we can criticize maybe that first drive, the first 3 and out, Dan. But after that, it felt like it was smooth sailing for the Buffalo Bills. How are you today?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I tweeted after the Raiders marched down the field and scored with ease, and then the Bills went 3 and out, including 2 draw plays to start the game, and boos were raining out at Highmark Stadium. I tweeted out, has anybody tried unplugging the Bills and plugging them back in? And that worked. Whoever did it, hats off to them, because after that, Greg Rousseau, who has been a monster this year, tips a pass up, Terrell Bernard intercepts it, and the rest of the game was pretty much a formality at that point.
Well, Dan, I mean, and you are somebody that does not like to run the ball. Nope. However, but when you can mix it up the way that you did yesterday, it seemed like the perfect balance. I would just ask you this question, would you encourage Josh Allen? Look, if it's all there underneath, there's absolutely no need for the deep ball. If you can win games like that, is not the perfect scenario what you saw yesterday.
Yeah, a couple points. I'm not against running the ball. I'm against running the ball when you're unsuccessful at it and just bang your head against the wall. When the Bills in that drive to start the third quarter where they went, 9 minutes, 75 yards, they were really leaning on that defensive line. And we hear all of the time. We hear all the time of offensive linemen. They don't always want to pass block. They want to put their hands on the defensive lineman and get downhill. Well, I always say, as a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman, you have to earn that right. Prove to Ken Dorsey that you can do it, and then he'll call more run plays, and everybody will be happy. But this thought of calling run plays just for the sake of calling run plays when they go for negative yards or 1 or 2 yards, I think it's a waste. So to see, that was great to see. That every single run carry seemed like it went for 5-6 yards a pop. That was great to see, because I mean, we can get in the debate which line played better, the offensive line or the defensive line, because both of them were dominant yesterday. And as for Josh taking the checkdowns, I know everybody was very bent out of shape, and rightfully so, for the way that Josh played in the Meadowlands. But for this thought that Josh had to change something or become something different, guys, that's who Josh Allen is. He is going to have those games where he has 4 turnovers and comes to the press conference afterwards and says, I stink. That game was on me. I'm really upset because I lost the game for my team. That's going to happen. And then what's going to happen is he's going to bounce back like he did yesterday. This is who Josh Allen is. This wasn't the first time we have seen him, as I like to call it, take the cheese, take the easy stuff underneath. It's just a matter of this is the roller coaster of who Josh Allen is. Both things can be true. But, guys, I would put money on the fact that at some point this season, Josh is going to have a game where he turns the ball over a few times and says, man, that stinks. More often than not, he's going to be really good because that's who he is. But there will be highs and lows. So for everybody that was like, wow, Josh Allen learned how to check the ball down yesterday and took what the defense gave him. He's done that the last few years. That's what's made him an elite quarterback, improving his completion percentage, taking what the defense gives him. It's just tough for him to stay patient for an entire game. And that's what was impressive to me yesterday.
Dan, was yesterday Spencer Brown's best game as a pro?
Yeah, absolutely. No question. And Josh talked about it after the game, Gene. I thought it was interesting. he complimented him by saying that Spencer has all of the physical gifts. But that sentence he said in the press conference ended with, when he puts it all together and when he's focused. So that was a little telling to me. I thought that was maybe Josh kind of getting out there and saying, like, yeah, this guy's really good. He's a monster. He can move. He's all these things. But, man, you just got to focus and get things right, because I thought he handled Max Crosby phenomenally. I think he was a big part of the run game. I think when Josh feels comfortable and when he feels safe, it's a game changer. So that was a big step forward in Spencer Brown's career. Hopefully he can build off of that.
Talking at 13 Wham's Dan Fates, who was on the sidelines for yesterday's action. And I don't know if it's just the Raiders' offensive line isn't all that good, but Dan, this is why you invest all this capital on the defensive line, what you saw yesterday. And I would say, boy, if you see that actually out of Greg Rousseau, I'm trying to imagine what this defensive line will look like when Von Miller gets back.
Man, he is special. And I think it was last year, his dietitian, Von Miller, started him on the diet of gunpowder and gasoline. So now he's like well into this diet, and it is paying off. Sean McDermott said that he is now playing nasty. He's nastier. And it's different. I remember when they drafted Greg Rousseau, I caught up with his high school coach, and he talked about how Greg actually played safety. Like, he was such a freak talent that's where he had him in the defense. And when he went to Miami, he was still kind of learning how to play defensive end, all of those things. But the other thing he said was that Greg was one of the nicest kids that he had on his team. And at times they used to have to tell Greg to, like, get angry, like, get mad at the other team. Like, don't pick up the player that you just tackled. And I remember asking Greg that rookie year, and he got mad at me because he's like, I'm not, like, that's not me. Like, I'm just polite. Like, I'm not just a nice guy. Like, I can be mean. And to hear Sean say, like, he's getting nasty, I think is a big step, because I think he's been the best defensive lineman for the Bills. And that's saying a lot, because Ed Oliver equally has played really impressive football. Those two guys have wrecked plays single-handedly. And I know they rotate their defensive line and all these things. They got to keep them on the field more. They got to be getting 70% of the snaps, not 50. They got to be getting 75. I want to see Greg Rousseau on the field for 9 out of 10 plays, because he is right now dominating and bullying offensive linemen.
So we know that the Raiders' offensive line isn't anything to write home about, but I imagine that this is what Sean McDermott wants out of his defense. This kind of gaudy number, like the idea that you held Jacobs to 9 carries for -2 yards. The idea that Devontae Adams was the only receiver, save for that one Hunter Renfrow catch late in the game, that actually caught balls for the Raiders throughout the course of the afternoon. I mean, that's a dominant performance by that defense, especially if you take away that first opening drive.
Yeah, and I thought the defense played well against the Jets. They had some short field positions. I know it's Zach Wilson, but they still got dudes over there on that offense. They got guys. And I know you can't take away the Breece Hall run, but really, I think this defense has played really well. Obviously, you want to take back the opening drive. Micah Hyde said, like, they came to play, we weren't ready. But after that, the adjustments they made, and, we didn't have to hear about we didn't have gap integrity, and we didn't have to hear about we were out of alignment. Like, we just saw them get after it. And Sean McDermott, I wonder if he took a little bit of something from that Jets game, because he was asked a lot about this Jets defense has given you fits, and like, what is it about it? And Sean said they don't do anything special schematically. They just fly around. And I saw that yesterday. This wasn't anything fancy. This wasn't safety blitzes. This wasn't corner blitzes or any of these things. They just flew around to the ball. And I think that's maybe the lesson that Sean needed his team to learn. Said after Monday night, and I know it's a Von Miller thing, he says that you either win or you learn. And they had to learn quickly this week after an embarrassing loss to the Jets. I was really impressed by the way they bounced back, defense specifically.
13 Wham's Dan Fates, also Buffalo Plus, our guest here in the sports bar. I don't know if it's a good thing that your best corner on the field, in my opinion, yesterday was Christian Benford. Do you think there's a trade market at all for Kaiir Elam at this point? It's a little concerning that you spent a first-round pick, Dan, and he's not even on the field.
Yeah, it's really not good. I was just talking to Mike. I was filing the game from what I shot yesterday, and I got shots of him in his clothes, on the sidelines, and I'm sitting there going, we were just in Vegas. when they traded up to draft him and all these things. And for whatever reason, there is a disconnect. Is there a trade market? I don't know. Is there a team that is willing to let Kyer make mistakes on the field? Kyer's not ready right now for whatever reason in this Bills system. And the only way Kyer is going to get better is to play. And unfortunately for him, the Bills are at a point where they're win now, and they can't have somebody learning on the job. That's just not this defense, this offense. It's too good. They're not involved in projects right now. It is the best players are playing. It doesn't matter if you're a first rounder or a sixth rounder. That's why Christian Benford's on the field. All of those things. Now, could they add a depth at a tackle position? Could maybe Houston be looking for another young corner? Maybe. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. Could you get maybe a third wide receiver? Is there a team that wants to get younger? Because again, physically, Kyer Elam has way more athletic talent than Christian Benford, Dane Jackson, all of those things. But he just doesn't have the technique. He's not familiar enough with the system. And right now, looking back on it, he was this big press corner from Florida and all these things. They don't press a whole lot, the Bills' defense. So kind of looking back, it looks like he kind of tried to fit a square peg into a round hole. Is there somebody that wants to say, hey, look, we want to play man, and this is a young corner? I can imagine somebody would want to take a chance on him in season. I'm not sure.
Dan, we mentioned how Spencer Brown had his best game as a pro. We also saw James Cook have his best day as a pro, 17 rushes, 123 yards, 7.2 yards per carry. Also, Terrell Bernard getting the pick, having his best day as a pro as well. And I guess when we're talking about some of these younger Bills, and Cook in his second year, Bernard in his second year, Brown has been here a little bit longer. But these guys, the game that they had, the afternoon that they had at home in a winning effort, talk about what that might do here for their confidence moving forward, because let's face it, we were worried about Terrell Bernard going into week one. We didn't have anything to really, make us believe after week one that Terrell Bernard was going to be safe and secure at middle linebacker. I think we're feeling a lot better about that decision now. Yeah.
Confidence is a hell of a drug. It is my favorite thing that Micah Hyde has ever said to me. This goes all the way back to 2019 when they got off to that hot start. And I went, that's a really good point. And I feel like for Bernard, for Spencer Brown, for things like that, like, I know you don't want to ride the roller coaster of highs and lows. And Josh was so good yesterday when he talked about how he actually embraced and loved how he felt last week, because it makes the highs feel so much better and he learned from those lows. Maybe I want these guys to stay confident. Think you're better than you are sometimes. If you're Terrell Bernard, think that you belong calling plays. Know that you belong calling plays in a huddle with 4 all-pros around you. Like, think about that. And when you start to have that confidence, if you're a hitter in baseball, the ball just looks bigger. Like, things like that kind of go in, and you can feed off that. So for Spencer Brown to go up against Max Crosby, who can absolutely wreck games, for James Cook, who I don't know if he likes to run inside the tackles very much, but he can bounce it outside, and he has shown quite a bit of speed to pick up 7-8 yards a pop. It's been nice. And again, we haven't said anything negative about Terrell Bernard. Maybe the Breece Hall run in the Jets game, but besides that, he's been solid. So it's been nice to see those guys fit in with a bounce-back victory.
During a normal week here, Dan, meaning game on Sunday, McDermott will talk on a Wednesday. And on our show, we have a segment called McDermott McLies, and we play back some of his best comments. And when he's pumping the tires of an opponent, and I just get the sense there's going to be a lot of McLies coming up this week. There's a team that's 2-0, Washington. Is there any fear going down against this team? Because, yes, they came back to beat Arizona, and sure, yesterday they survived on this after giving up that Hail Mary. Your thoughts on facing the Commanders here?
Their defensive line. And again, we can take the positives away from the Raiders game, but also take one step back and think about the fact that the Raiders will probably be the worst defense this Bills offense faces all year. They are not good. That's what you're supposed to do. You are now going to face a defensive line that is really, really scary. And that's something that you're going to have to worry about. Sam Howell may be one of those guys that's a little over his skis, and he may have too much confidence coming off, being 3-0 in his first 3 starts and all these things. But to me, this game is going to start and end with, can the Bills' offensive line keep Josh Allen upright? Can they create some holes for Latavius Murray and James Cook and all those things? Because Chase Young is going to be back. It's going to be his second game, things like that. Like I am just thinking all about. Mike and I are going to the game in D.C. is making sure that Josh Allen is still standing upright for most of that game, because that's where I think this game is going to be won and lost.
Dan, they're not going to look ahead, but we're allowed to look ahead to Week 4. And after we watched Miami in Foxborough last night, my takeaway is, oh boy, we knew that they were a fast team last year. They look just as fast, if not faster, this year, and the problems that may present for an aging and slower Bills defense.
Yeah, somebody was talking about it. Oh, the Chiefs are 1-1, the Bengals are 0-2, the Chargers are 0-2, and somebody was kind of going through all the teams, and they're like, the Bills, they could look at the 1 seed. And I was like, you didn't talk about the Dolphins, because right now they seem like an offensive juggernaut. And I know they didn't put up a ton of points, but New England's defense is pretty dang good too. But what Mike McDaniel is doing, and Tua healthy, it's an if. I know some people will say it's when he gets hurt. It's an if he gets hurt. But this offense can cause problems. And so, yeah, that will be, to me, the real measuring stick of where this defense is, because as of right now, I think the Dolphins are the team to beat in the division. I think the Bills have to prove that they are still the 3-time defending champs, because I think the Dolphins right now would be the favorite with how they're playing, especially to start the year. Tyreek Hill, Waddle, all these guys, they got a running game going right now. They got a pretty good offensive line, all over the place. And we know this defense they got dudes back there too. Xavier Howard looks good, and Javon Holland always gives the Bills, it seems like, problems. So they got dudes over there now. And that will be, for me, I'm with you. I'm peeking ahead to that game.
For that game, Dan, because now this is a story. The legend of the game will be Fred Jackson that game. Can somebody get him a nice seat in a suite for that game?
How about the press box? You got a seat next to you, Gino, right?
I do. Yeah, I'd love to sit next to Fred.
Actually, I will be in the press box that game, too. Not a great look for Takeo. Not a great seat. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think not a great look for the Bills, in that this is how they treat their legends of the game. And you hear some of the stories along with what we saw from Takeo Spike's social media account yesterday, an obstructed view from inside the suite. I mean, seriously, you're going to invite a legend of the Bills to come and lead the charge. Why not just offer him a seat in the owner's box? Is that forbidden? I mean, what's the rationale there? What is the thinking there, Dan?
Yeah, I don't know. That is a great question, Danger. And I guess that's something that the Bills will have to correct and fix. It's weird that so many people have come out and said, we've also had that issue. Other legends have kind of said they've had that issue. When is it just Takeo's the only one that wanted to make it public? And was everybody being kosher before that? This seems like this should have happened once and fixed. It's kind of odd to me how many people have come out and said, there have been issues for where they sit for the game, because this seems like, hey, these aren't great seats. Got it. We'll fix it. It's fixed, right?
It's an easy fix. Invite them into the owner's box and call it a day.
Yeah. So we will see. It'll be my big thing, guys, too. And again, I know people are saying oh, Josh Allen, turn the corner. I go, this is still who Josh Allen is. I looked back at that Jets game. It's just one last thing I wanted to mention was that I looked back at the Jets game, and we're like, oh, we've never seen this. This was, so bad. I go, that Jets game reminded me of Houston's playoff game, where we just saw reckless Josh Allen. It reminded me of the crazy Jacksonville game that they lost to Urban Meyer's team when Josh was just all over the place. Josh is going to lay these eggs. And I'll make another baseball analogy for you. Spencer Strider has a 102-mile-per-hour fastball. Sometimes it gets rocked, and sometimes he walks people, and sometimes he hits people, right? But he doesn't come out there the next game and start throwing 90% changeups. You stick with your fastball. Josh talked about it this week. It is a double-edged sword, Josh Allen's gift. And Josh is not going to dull one end of his sword so that he can be more of a game manager. You can restrain it. You can keep it in a little bit. You can try and check it down more and have more patience. But, guys, he talked about all offseason being smarter, not hurdling guys, right? He's hurdled 3 people in 2 games. Like, once the ball gets snapped, Josh Allen takes over Josh Allen's body. It is not whatever Ken Dorsey or Sean McDermott says in his ear or before the play. Josh Allen is going to be Josh Allen. You are going to live with some of these moments. I am now convinced more than ever, and this is a compliment, that he is Brett Favre with an athletic body. He is going to live and die by these games. Sometimes he is going to cost his team losses, but a lot of times he's going to lead his team to win, because that play to Gabe Davis was crazy. The hurdle at the goal line was insane. But some of the things that he did, and for all of the checkdowns that he had yesterday, and some of them are right by me, and I kind of got to, keep my camera on Josh Allen's face. He looked like a dog that even when he checked it down to Kincaid or Cook or Murray, he had the look of like when you give a dog a treat or you show the dog a treat, and you're like, sit, boy, don't move. And Josh is just like, oh, I wanted to throw it down the field into double coverage so bad. And guess what? Sometimes he's going to do it. But I just want people to understand that, like, what we saw these first 2 games is nothing new, at least to me. And when you look at the big picture of Josh Allen's 5 years, and this is his 6th year, you'll see a lot of this. And he has progressed, and he's gotten better, and he's become such a student of the game. And he does have that ability to take the cheese. But Josh Allen is going to Josh Allen sometimes. And it's a wild roller coaster filled with some really fun highs and some really head-scratching lows.
Dan, congratulations to your Braves winning the divisional championship. And also, because I saw up in the press box yesterday Mike Catalan. He's like, well, make sure you ask Dan who he says he's afraid of in the playoffs, being his Phillies. And I'd ask you, is that true? Are you afraid of the Phillies? And if it is true, is that not you emotionally hedging here?
No, it's not emotionally hedging. It's that lineup does scare me. And the Braves went and played the Dodgers out west. And again, I don't watch a lot of West Coast baseball, all those things. And I heard about Muncy and Freeman, or I heard about Betts and Freeman. And those guys are monsters at the top of their lineup. And then I see Max Muncy is batting 3rd, and he's hitting .202. Like, that's what I'm supposed to be worried about? And then, hey, Gene, Ahmed Rosario was batting 4th for the Dodgers when we played them. Ahmed Rosario. I couldn't name the 2 other outfielders. Jason Hayward, like, I'm supposed to be worried about the Dodgers? I'm not worried about the Dodgers at all. You can clip this. I know this might come back to bite me in the butt, but I'm not worried about the Dodgers. The Phillies got a pitching staff. The Phillies got some dudes that can hit. Bryce Harper always comes up in big games. I don't want to see the Phillies at all in the postseason.
We've rolled the tape, Dan.
It's rolling.
All right, we'll check back in October. Dan, keep up the great work at 13 Wham Sports. We appreciate all the work that you and Jenna and Mike are doing covering the Bills, and of course at BuffaloPlus.com. We're looking forward to the content and appreciate the time as always, bud.
I always love coming on here, guys. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Thanks, Dan. 13 Wham Sports, Dan Fates. Check out his work with Jenna Cottrell and Mike Catalana at BuffaloPlus.com as well. We got to take a break and come back with I'll Drink to That. Some takes on tap, Gino.
Yeah, something I observed yesterday, depending on how you go into the stadium, this always happens if you're going on the Big Tree route. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of get in. And I'm just wondering, why do we do this? That's the way I have to go in, but it's something that is, I just want to get off my chest here. And also the Jets yesterday, sure, there's no shame in losing to the Cowboys, but there's something with Zach Wilson and the management, I guess, of Zach Wilson that tells me, they still haven't figured this out, and I'll explain.
We're oftentimes critical of the guys calling the games from time to time. I'd like to highlight what a great call sounds like, because one occurred during the Chiefs and the Jags game yesterday. A great call by Ian Eagle that I wanted to showcase. And we discussed it a little bit earlier, but something that has gotten away from us as adults. And I'm not sure where we lost our way from when we were toddlers to where we are now, but it's a distinct difference and it needs to be pointed out, and we need to correct it, and we need to do it with haste. Let's get to I'll Drink to That here in a couple few in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. The NFL season is here. Now is the time to get incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. For help with the gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. That's today. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from
WBBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bills now 1-1 on the season. This after getting the win over the Raiders. Nicked up yesterday, Leonard Floyd and Micah Hyde. Guard Osiris Torrance playing in front of Bills fans for the first time.
It was great. It was great. It reminded me how the swamp was back in Florida. Just the fans and the hospitality and the atmosphere just gave me juice all game, and I loved it.
Buffalo opening as a 6.5-point favorite against the Commanders coming up on Sunday. We'll talk to Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, about the Buffalo Bills. That's coming up later this hour here in the Sports Bar. Monday Night Football, 2 games tonight. First up, it's the Panthers and Saints at 7 o'clock. 8:15 as the Cleveland Browns looking to go 2-0 on the season as they take on the Steelers. Rochester Red Wings have 1 week left in their season, all on the road, beginning tomorrow night in Indy. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Josh Allen with a huge bounce-back performance. Same goes for the Bills, who improved to 1-1 after a 38-10 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders.
Good to get a win. Great environment here in Orchard Park, Western New York. The fans are outstanding.
Just us getting back to who we feel like we are. Guys went out there and executed it.
Who's going to stop that offense, So
We're trying to go out there and play our best ball, and this is just something to give us a little confidence.
Yeah, I mean, there's no stopping the Bills. It's Super Bowl or bust, let's be honest.
Just win, baby.
There he is.
Mike Danger.
Wow, what another great performance by the Buffalo Bills.
Gene Battaglia.
And then you get the Commanders. Oh, pour it on for the Commanders, please. You're like, oh, gosh, that's a Super Bowl team over there.
We got 2, not 1, but 2 Monday Night Football games tonight.
The Orioles and Rays clinched playoff spots yesterday when the Rangers lost.
Oh, Sabres hockey.
Blue Jackets head coach Mike Babcock announces his resignation.
This week's AP Top 25 poll was released yesterday.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the Sports Bar on a Victory Monday where Josh Allen was lights out. 31 of 37, 83.7% completion rate, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Josh Allen, a man on a mission. Brought to you by the Open Door Mission. Go to opendoormission.com and see how you can guarantee a win for someone today.
We should thank everybody that came out Friday for our live broadcast at Three Heads. That's the way to start it. We're going to be there once a month. Next one coming up in October. So thanks to Greg, Linda, the Yacht Club boys coming out there. It was a lot of fun, and we want to thank certainly all the great people at Three Heads for setting us up there. It was just a fun Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I would love to be out there every Friday afternoon, but honestly, we'll wait until next month. We'll do it again, and we've got a good matchup, I think, for our next.
So the next one, we go by the games itself. I couldn't tell you the exact date. It's the Patriots game.
Patriots
So
week.
whatever the Friday is before the Patriot game. Is that the 19th, the 20th, whatever that is, we'll be out there.
Patriots week. Yeah. Looking forward to it. All right. We're going to get to Ryan Talbot at NewYorkUpstate.com. We'll talk more Buffalo Bills and their win yesterday against the Raiders in Orchard Park. We appreciate you listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Checking out the video stream at The Fan Rochester on Twitch and on YouTube. We sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app, even on your smart device, when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan.
Other than the president, who deserves a police escort, Danger?
I have a police escort story I can share.
Okay, the police. I understand. Like, hey, our local team won the state championship in this high school sport, and you're going to do everything, and you're going to have fun. But I'm just talking like, hey, I want to get from point A to point B. Certainly, if you're the president, I would think that would qualify. But is there anybody else? I marvel at how visiting teams in the NFL get a police escort coming up Big Tree Road on game day. And I guess I can live with that from a safety standpoint, Danger. Maybe that, there's the team, and you don't want people throwing eggs and being dumb and everything like that. But yesterday, and this has happened before, again, Big Tree, I had to scooch over and wait while the Pagula clan came flying through. For NFL owners, is that really necessary that we're using those resources for a police escort? Is that part of their lease agreement? Is that what you get when you become an NFL owner? Like, I get to have a police escort going to and from the game? Imagine how big your head would be. Not only am I not driving my car, you're going to move over for my driver.
The seas will part for me as I make my entrance into the stadium. Meanwhile, your legend of the game is sitting behind an overhang.
Embarrassing!
Can we clean it up?
Embarrassing!
It's not that, look, you're Terry Pegula. This is why we're critical of the billionaire owners, right? They're just aliens. They're just completely out of touch. How easy a fix would it be to say, Takeo, any legend of the game that you invite in, come and hang out in the owner's in the owner's box. That's the way to do it. Instead, you kind of hide them, tuck them away in the corner.
It's embarrassing!
Where they can't even see the entire field.
No problem with giving them sweet tickets, but you're giving obstructed view? Yeah. Like, Taquilla's like, what am I even doing here? You have to watch part of it on the monitor?
Right.
Also, who knew there was obstructed view seats at the stadium there?
Let's try to correct that with the new Highmark Stadium. Let's make sure that there aren't any obstructed views. And as far as the police escort thing, it's excessive. It feels excessive, but that's the lifestyle of a billionaire. They don't know any other way, Gino. They don't know any other way.
Well, who do they call? I'm ready for the escort. Well, thank you, Mr. Pegula.
I'm sure that they probably do.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they have that all worked out. So you're more worried about the police escort and not having to mingle with the peasantry than you are about having one of the legends of the game show up and spend time with you in your luxury suite.
So funny how one Takeo spikes. This is true with a lot of things, right? One story, and then everybody's got their own story. And Tim Graham relaying the story of last year. It was, I believe, the Tennessee opener where Marv Levy, gets on the field. How you remember that?
Where else would you rather be? Yeah.
That right here, right now. They had Marv they just gave him a normal seat in the stands. Can you imagine you're sitting there? Wait, he's 91.
It's a lot. It's a lot for a 91-year-old. It's a lot.
And you're Marv Levy? Of all people, he should be in the owner's box.
I wonder if there's some sort of personality disorder with Terry that we don't really talk about, other than I'm just a billionaire a-hole and I don't want to mingle or mix with anybody unless I know exactly who you are. My circle is so tight that nobody from the outside gets to mingle with me, gets to exchange pleasantries with me, gets to sit in my box. It's a weird thing. Common sense would tell you, if you're inviting a Marv Levy, a Takeo Spikes, whoever it is, if you're inviting them, you give them the preferential treatment. You don't put him in the stands with all the drunk yahoos when he's 91.
Which Marv is such a gentleman.
Of course.
He came up, and of course he would be polite, and he would say something, but that's where... who would have thought, Danger, the Monday night game, that disastrous loss, would be the fourth worst PR gaffe for the Buffalo Bills this week? And that's not even a PR gaffe.
It's been a bad week.
Yeah, it's been a bad week. That allegation against Terry Pegula that came on Tuesday. Whoa, there's that.
And by the way, that'll disappear. Time will make us forget that thing is happening, that he's alleged of saying this horribly this racist thing,
unless there's audio.
Unless there's
a TMZ that says,
right.
Here.
But then you do have audio of a Bills reporter talking ill of Stephon Diggs, and that became a national story.
That's number 2. Spikes being number 3. Now, Maddie Glab was suspended, I heard.
Oh,
which.
Well, I feel bad for her.
I feel horrible for her. She was not on the broadcast yesterday. On the post game, they put Brownie and Tasker.
It's terrible. Not Brownie and Tasker. Her being suspended is terrible. It's
correct.
Brutal. But hey, that's the world that we live in now. And again, watch how that story, the Pegula story, the comment story that in the Trotter lawsuit, watch how that kind of disappears here, unless there's a hero out there who has that audio and decides, that'll be enough. Go away now. We know the truth, and here is the truth.
Well, remember, TMZ wrote a check to somebody who had the casino footage of Ray Rice and the world changed. Which I would say, as bad as that video was, I'm not saying the video was good. I'm saying the world changed for the better. It's like, hey, here's an example of domestic violence. Oh, my God. And everybody as they should. We take it, I would think, a little more seriously now prior to that video. So that would be my fear with the Pegula story. Like, you hope that's not true. And like, if there's somebody that is willing to like turn it over to a TMZ for a check, if there was one.
Gino and I can be awful critical of the guys calling the games from time to time, but if I may highlight what a great call sounds like, let me present to you Ian Eagle on the Chiefs-Jaguars broadcast yesterday.
Low snap. Mahomes moving pocket. Mahomes floats it up. Caught! Touchdown, Travis Kelce! Kelce finds a blank space for the score.
Okay, so that's a song by Taylor Swift, then I take it.
Yep, that is it. That's Ian Eagle dropping a Taylor Swift reference right there into Travis Kelce's touchdown call, all amidst the rumors that the two have been dating. It's calls like this, and well, it's that yes chef call that you and I workshopped for Brownie. I don't know if he's going to use that one or not. You know,
James Cook into the end zone. Yes, chef. Touchdown.
Yeah, right. That's a good one. Something along those lines. You mix in a little cultural reference with our sports play-by-play. Well done by Ian Eagle. And, you know, if you're Travis Kelce and you're trying to keep this hush-hush, forget it, man. We all know. It's fine. You're going to end up one of her victims in one of her songs. It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
I've got a take for you. I think the whole thing's fake. I think Travis Kelce probably has kind of, an acquaintance maybe. Maybe they hung out once, and he hasn't said anything directly, nobody around him, but the fact that he's not denying it, then everybody automatically thinks, oh my gosh, and then you realize, wait, this is actually good for my brand.
Well, what if it's fake in that they're not really in a relationship, but they hooked up? Far be it for Taylor Swift to engage in a one-night stand. That wouldn't be good for her brand, right? The pure, wholesome Taylor Swift who goes through men like she changes her socks. Yeah, I mean, like, come on, that's what she is. It would probably be like, yeah, they were seen together or they've been seeing each other. Right. So it's just a fling.
I would think a star like Taylor Swift, like, passion's not taking over. Like, even if it does, like, wait, should I do this tonight? Yeah, excuse, get me my NDA here. We have to sign this before we go.
Honestly,
like, there's got to be like a non-disclosure.
They're both so busy, right? Like, they're both so tied up in their lives. Her with her tour, he with the Chiefs. Like, any hanging out that they're doing, any seeing of each other that they're doing is probably so premeditated and so, under the veil of secrecy that, here's how we know that there's some truth to it. What kept him out of week one? Weak knees, Gene.
That's what it was.
Weak knees. Watch out for those weak knees.
I thought they were just being cautious with whatever the injury was.
Watch out for those weak knees.
I think it's fake. Do you remember what led to Jets quarterback Zach Wilson losing his starting job?
Yeah, I do. I remember it, and it was awesome because after he lost his job, you had Robert Saleh basically, trying to work through this. Like, it needed to be done, but it was just so unfortunate because you were basically pulling the plug on your second overall pick investment in Zach Wilson.
It was, do I want to stick with my quarterback or am I going to lose the locker room? It was a terrible predicament, and it was all preventable. Let me explain. Go back. Jets lose. This was probably the worst game of the year last year. 10-3 to the Patriots. It's a 3-3 game, and the Patriots return a punt late for a touchdown. Ugh. And Wilson in that game, his stat line, he threw for 77 yards. Ooh. And he was asked a very simple question after the game. Do you feel like you'll let the defense down? He said no.
Right.
Can you imagine?
So the defense wants to murder the quarterback.
Right.
Now.
Like, we just held an opponent to 3 points. That should be a W. And you're telling me, when you kind of dissect it, and Dan Leberfeld, who we have on from time to time, he cited the fact that the Jets, most teams will make you kind of wait and cool off. It's like hey, you wrote an email, don't send it. Just think about it first. All right, well, that's what the NFL forces teams to do. more often than not, there's like 20 to 30 minutes before the actual come out. This was just Wilson going right up and, letting it out there like, oh my gosh.
Frustrated, yeah.
Totally could have been very preventable. What I learned yesterday is the Jets didn't learn anything from that. No, Wilson didn't say anything dumb yesterday, okay? He had a bad game. I think that's kind of fair to say, and the Cowboys will make you do that. But when I'm looking at the podium yesterday, there's Zach Wilson. A minor detail that only I might notice, he's in full uniform. Normally, the quarterback will take some time, at least take off their jersey at the very least. Some will shower, some will put on nice clothes. Josh Allen quite often, he doesn't come up with his jersey on. He'll take some time off, but I don't know. To me, I think the real issue is this. Wilson ain't it. As a Bills fan, I think you're hoping he's still the quarterback come November.
Why? So he can go 3-0 against the Bills? Look, Wilson with the Jets is the biggest problem for the Bills. You're right. It's not Wilson. It's that defense. It's can you get over on that defense? That defense matches up really well against the Bills for whatever reason. I mean, maybe it starts in the middle with Quinnen Williams. But Zach Wilson, Mike White, I mean, it's never really been the quarterback that beats the Bills.
Never.
To me, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. And I don't think if Aaron Rodgers is healthy in that game, and it was only 4 plays, but the Bills were getting after Rodgers in that game, early in that game. Like, that's how he got injured. They were putting pressure on him, and I think that would have probably continued. So the quarterback, by the way, the comment that Salah was making over the weekend, I don't know if you saw it, regardless of who the quarterback is, we want a foundation of a really good running game and really, awesome special teams and really good defense. And it's like, yeah, that's what a coach says when they don't have a quarterback. When you don't have confidence in your quarterback, you say, well, regardless of who the quarterback is, we've got a really good defense, we've got a good run game, and we play, awesome special teams. But if you have a quarterback, you don't have to worry about those things. You could say that we're always in a game because we have Josh Allen. You don't have a quarterback, and they know that Zach Wilson ain't it. They're forced to use Zach Wilson this year, and then next year it's all over again. Let's go through this process again with Aaron Rodgers and anticipate what that might look like. I struggle to see how Aaron Rodgers comes back better after this injury. Usually after the Achilles injury, it's like, you're a shell of what you once were.
Jalen Waddle's in concussion protocol.
Oh.
Yeah, took a hard hit to the head. Now, I didn't stay up for that whole game last night. It was from linebacker Marte Mapu. Is that how we say his name for the Patriots? So that's something to kind of look. I don't. When the Dolphins come up here, let me just kind of state for the record. I want them. You want everybody healthy. You want Tua. You want Hill. You want Waddle. You don't want any asterisk here.
I think you're going to get Waddle. I think you're going to get Tua. I think you're going to get Hill. And I think you're going to get everybody. You're going to get Teron Armstead. You're going to get everybody healthy.
Silly me. I forgot the Dolphins are the team. Like, concussion.
Right now, is there a team in the AFC that's playing better football than the Miami Dolphins?
I'm going to qualify that. What if you will have to add a team maybe at the end of tonight? What if Cleveland goes and drops the hammer on Pittsburgh? No, you're giving a pouty face. They just took out Cincinnati and made them look terrible. If they go on the road to Pittsburgh tonight,
drop the hammer. If they blow out Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, are they in that conversation? If they're in that conversation, then you have to put the Ravens ahead of them in that conversation.
Sure,
the Ravens have looked impressive. I
mean, the Ravens,
Houston and Cincinnati. The Browns beating Cincinnati and the Steelers probably two.
For style points, yes, Miami. They also gave up a ton of yards to the Chargers in that game. So it was one of those games where, okay, we have the ball last, great, we won. The Patriots are not a good football team. Shouldn't you just smile
good defense. It's good defense. I think their defense is still solid. I mean, the thing that makes me nervous about the Dolphins is that speed, and you have a younger defense, a faster defense in New England than what the Bills have, and they still made them look foolish last night from time to time.
Now, do I think the Browns win tonight? No.
Oh, good. We're on the same page there.
That's
against the black and gold Steelers.
That's black and yellow.
That's black and yellow.
Do they go by black and yellow as their team colors?
Yes.
They do.
Because they remember the lessons they were taught in preschool. And we were having this conversation earlier with Tim from San Diego. Because we saw it Friday night in Honeoye Falls, and I was reminded of something that has created a little bit of confusion in the world of sports. And believe me when I tell you, this is important, okay? From the moment we began our life's education, we were taught colors. A 3-year-old can differentiate between yellow and gold. So why? Why is it a struggle with team colors? And I loved our time at HFL on Friday, Gino, but your school colors are not black and gold. Black and gold is what you'll see with the Saints on Monday Night Football tonight. Your school colors are actually black and yellow. And you even come out to Wiz Khalifa. Black and yellow, black and yellow. Packers fans, green and yellow. Notre Dame, that's gold. Don't try to be something you're not. We all know our colors. We all know that yellow isn't the same as gold.
The official team colors for the Buffalo Sabres are royal blue, gold, and white.
Wrong. They're yellow. That's not gold. The anniversary jerseys that they wore,
gold.
That had gold trim, yes, that's gold. Right now, they're royal blue and yellow. That's the color. That's not gold. What are we doing? If you want to make it gold, then take the handle of the saber on your logo and make it gold, not yellow. And then work that into the rest of your uniform, and now you are royal blue and gold. The Vegas Golden Knights, gold. That's gold.
Yellow symbolizes negative traits such as cowardice, deceit, betrayal, and faithlessness. When someone turns tail and flees from conflict, that person is labeled yellow. Yellow can be the color of illness, as in example, jaundice.
Jaundice, okay. Look, this isn't even a debate. I don't even what happened to us. We knew this when we were 3, and all of a sudden, because we're sports fans, we lost sight of the difference between two distinct colors. Come on now, people. Yellow is yellow. Gold is gold. Let's not confuse the two.
From the 14th century onward, yellow has become the color of envy, jealousy, treason, a color that cannot be trusted.
I can't trust a program who doesn't know the difference between gold and yellow. How about that for lack of trust? If you're saying that you're gold when you're actually yellow, I don't trust you because you don't know your basic colors. Come on. All right, we got to get to Ryan Talbot. NewYorkUpstate.com. We'll get back to the Bills and the Raiders. Big win in Orchard Park yesterday. We'll look ahead to Week 3 as the Bills travel to Washington to take on the Commanders. Ryan Talbot, New York Upstate, joining us next in the Sports Bar.
Yeah, and then a little later on, we've got one pair left of Adam Sandler tickets.
Yes, Adam Sandler coming to Blue Cross Arena Wednesday, November 8th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Win them for free before we close up shop this afternoon at 6 o'clock here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan.
Bills getting the win over the Raiders as the team a little nicked up yesterday. Leonard Floyd, Micah Hyde will keep tabs as the Bills will return to practice on Wednesday. Dawson Knox on the team bouncing back from week 1.
You're thinking about all the mistakes we made last week. We can't let that carry over to this week. We always have that 24-hour rule. We're done talking about it on Tuesday, so we're just kind of ready to move on, wipe that bad taste out of our mouth. So it's definitely good to move on.
Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, joining us next in the Sports Bar. Bills opening up as a 6.5-point favorite against the Commanders on Sunday. Monday Night Football has 2 games tonight, 7 o'clock for the Saints and the Panthers, Steelers and Browns at about 8:15. Wings have 1 week left in their season. It's all on the road in Indianapolis. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, as we continue on a Victory Monday here in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia, the Bills get over and get right against the Las Vegas Raiders there at the stadium. Covering the team for NewYorkUpstate.com. Always love catching up with Ryan Talbot. A brand new season there in Orchard Park for you and for Matt. Ryan, welcome back into the Sports Bar and a true get-right win for the Buffalo Bills yesterday. How are you today, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great. And, yeah, you said it. I mean, this was a completely different team in terms of all 3 phases of the game.
Yeah, Ryan, let's start off with Josh Allen. Was it just as simple as him buckling down yesterday? His decision-making, what a stark difference from week 1 to week 2 here.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And I think Ken Dorsey is really trying to hammer the point home and saying if your first read isn't there, look to the second read, look for those drop-offs if you feel pressure in your face. And we saw James Cook getting involved in the short passing game, even a few passes to Stephon Diggs where he just threw it out to him and let him do the work. Obviously, you have a guy like Deontay Hardy that you can utilize in that area, tight ends like Kincaid and Knox, and the list goes on. And, you saw it. It wasn't his flashiest performance. He didn't throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns or anything like that, but it was efficient. It took a lot of time off the clock. It demoralized that Raiders defense, I felt, in the second half, especially that 9-minute drive to open the third quarter. That's just as effective sometimes as putting up all those gaudy stats that he's done sometimes in his career, where you can hold the defense in an opposing team in check, and put up 38 points. That's a good day at the office.
Ryan, players who had their best day as a Buffalo Bill, I would say Spencer Brown. I would say Terrell Bernard. I would say Ed Oliver. I would say James Cook. Who am I forgetting?
Greg, Greg Rousseau didn't fill the stat sheet. I think Greg Rousseau's had a great 8 quarters of football, just like Ed Oliver so far on that defensive line. I've been really impressed there. You mentioned Terrell Bernard. I wouldn't say Matt Milano because Matt Milano has been an all-pro type of player, but, man, what another great game on his part. Kincaid, James Cook, you name it. There's a lot of guys, but Spencer Brown was the big winner in my eyes on Sunday. You have Max Crosby across from you all game long, and there were some chips and things mixed in here and there from the Bills, but I really felt that Spencer Brown had a great game, held his own. There was one video of a spin rush or a spin move made by Crosby that kind of sent Brown flying, but it was also a Josh Allen touchdown. So all's well that ends well for the Bills there. But Spencer Brown really should have a lot of confidence going into next week against a good Washington Commanders D-line as well after that performance.
We're talking to Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, as we always have to focus on something negative. That's what we do here. I guess most fan bases do. It's not anything that would impacted the game. The idea that you spent a first-round pick in Kaiir Elam and he's not even active, and I'm not going to debate that decision. That's what the coaches feel here, Ryan, but I'm just wondering, where do we go from here? Like, is there any value on the trade market for Kaiir Elam at this point?
I don't think there is, and I think in the Bills' mind, they've been very lucky to avoid any kind of serious injuries the first 2 weeks of the year. But they know that in the NFL, you're going to have guys that get banged up, and Kaiir Elam right now is not active. He's not getting a jersey, but if you were to lose any of your outside corners, he's the next man up in that regard. And in terms of trade value, I don't think they trade him just because the depth is so important over the course of a long season. But at the end of the season, I think the Bills do need to kind of evaluate where are they at with him. Is there a chance to get him on the field in a significant role next year? Because the writing's on the wall. He is well behind, obviously, Tre'Davious White, Christian Benford, Dane Jackson. There doesn't seem to be any wiggle room for him to even move up into the top 3. So is there a chance for him to move up next year? If not, look and see what's out there at least, because you can always draft another corner, bring in some depth that would be cheap at that cornerback 4 type option that might not get a game day jersey. But it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you kind of tip your cap to the Bills in regards to we're playing our best guys. And Christian Benford, who was taken several rounds later in that same draft, I feel like he's had a really nice first 2 games here this season starting opposite Trey White.
And by the way, starting guys that they found later in the draft, guys that you're able to, that's a pat on the back to the scouts and everybody finding undrafted guys or late round guys that can contribute meaningful snaps. One guy that I did want to discuss with you, Ryan, and I'm curious, let me know if my concerns are justified. Has Trey White lost a step? I feel like he's off to a slow start for the Bills.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's been a slow start for Trey White. He hasn't looked like his old self out there. And, last year when he came back from the injury, you thought it might take an entire off season for him to come back to form. I thought he had some moments at training camp where he shined a little bit, but it has been a rough first 2 games for him in terms of the level that we've seen him play at versus what we've seen so far. Maybe he can shake some of that rust off here in the next few weeks, but definitely something that I would be concerned about. I'm not saying the Bills are going to shift gears and make it Benford and Dane Jackson or anything like that, but you do have to wonder if the age, the injury, everything kind of factors in, and maybe we don't see that same level of play out of Trey White in the future.
Certainly, we'll talk a lot about the Commanders matchup, and I know the Bills won't look ahead. I'm more fascinated 2 weeks from now and what we saw from Miami last night. And, Ryan, before we talk about the Commanders, can we talk about the next home game? I mean, how do you think the Bills will match up here with the speed of this Dolphins offense that, look, right now, you can make the argument that Miami is the best team in the AFC?
Yeah, I think the fact that they're going to be predominantly zone like they usually are is going to help them a little bit in terms of keeping those speedsters limited in terms of the big plays in that regard. But you have to worry about the run game. Mostert had a nice game against the Patriots as well, breaking off a touchdown run. It's just a really tough battle. It's different than what you get from a lot of teams on a week-to-week basis because the Dolphins have built up their offense like a track team of sorts. So what's interesting, though, is I sat there and I watched the entire game last night. I only got to see snippets of their first game against the Chargers. It felt like they were dominating that game last night. But you get down to the wire, and the Patriots had a chance to tie the game. They were moving the ball. There were still a lot of mistakes. As much talent as I think Miami has, they're letting teams stay in the game so far. Obviously, a back and forth with the Chargers in the week 1. This week against, I thought it's a better offense than it was a year ago, but there's not a lot of flashy names on that Patriots offense, and they hung around too. So they're 2-0. They've looked really good. They've moved the ball. They've put up a lot of points overall this season. I still think there's some holes in their game, though, and as long as they let teams hang around, Buffalo is going to have a good chance of knocking them off here in a few weeks.
I'm a big believer in the psychology of momentum, Ryan, and you've got a team next week coming in 2-0, and the way they won yesterday, I think, is going to play a factor in how they approach the Bills here in week 3 while they're at home, and that's Washington. Give us a little sense of what the Bills can expect here. We know that defensive line is formidable for Washington. What do we know about Sam Howell? We know that they have a decent running game, and they have some weapons in the passing game as well.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with how they've moved the ball with the young quarterback in Howell, and tip of the cap to Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy is someone that probably should have been a head coach or been given more serious consideration for a head coaching job for the past few years, but for whatever reason, I think people kind of looked and said, well, he's under that Andy Reid umbrella. Reid's calling the plays. This offense has moved the ball pretty well. They were down against Denver, and all of a sudden they put up 35 points at the end of the day in that matchup. They win a close game in week 1. they're moving it efficiently on the ground. They have some talent at the running back position. They have a 1-2 punch, actually, that running back position, in my opinion. And then obviously at wide receiver, McLaurin's a really good player. Jahan Dotson, you name it, they have a lot of talent there. And then you mentioned the defensive line. They've invested a lot draft capital-wise into that D-line. So the Bills' offensive line is going to have to come to play again, much like they did this past week against the Raiders.
Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, our guest. Bills and Commanders this week. 2 weeks, it's the Bills and the Dolphins. We know that the legend of the game is going to be Fred Jackson. Can he sit with us up in the press box, Ryan? I'd be happy to give him my seat in the press box next week.
Yeah, I think we can give him a seat there. I think you could probably unlock that owner's suite, too, and get him up there.
Thank you.
Unfortunate what happened with Takio's spikes. I felt bad for the guy in terms of the blocked view that he had and where he was currently sitting for that game. I understand the frustration. I wish he would have maybe asked if there was a different spot he could have gone to, whether it's the press box, somewhere else in general, to get to watch and enjoy the rest of that game. But I guess putting it out there hopefully will make the Bills a little bit more self-aware of where they're putting the legends of the game as they're bringing them in for these pep talks before the game. You got to put them in a better spot than that in game as well.
It's been a rough week. I mean, the win maybe cures some of it, but leading up to that win on Sunday, Ryan, can you remember a more punishing week for the Bills in terms of their PR, the black eye that they took, from the Pagula, the lawsuit against the NFL, the Trotter case with the Pagula, allegations, to the Steph Diggs, Matty Glab nonsense, to the Takeo Spikes obstructed view gate, in yesterday's game. Rough week.
Yeah, it felt like a very long week considering the Bills played on Monday Night Football last week. And so it was a short week, but it felt like a long week, that's for sure.
Yeah. What were your thoughts about seeing the big pile of dirt there across the street, Ryan?
Well, hopefully that gets built sooner rather than later. We have people hopping the fence over there. We have a lot already going on. So the sooner they can get that stadium up and going, I think the better. Maybe that'll be good for PR purposes, the way that they can build up some of those suites with better views maybe for the legends of the game. Obviously, we're a few years away, but it's always exciting when you can kind of see the progress that's being made.
Wait, I missed this story. Was that a story? Was that a thing? People were hopping the fence there at the construction site?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you do a quick Twitter search, you will be amazed at this story. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, gosh. What is wrong with us? It's not a safe place.
Let me tell you, that's a story in itself. You will be amazed when you get caught up on that story.
Yeah, and now he's got to do it in real time. He wants to see the Bills fans that are actually climbing the fence and scaling that to be able to be in the construction site. Ryan, what are you and Matt working on this week for the Shout podcast? What can we look forward to here as far as your coverage of the Bills?
Yeah, we're going to have multiple podcasts this week. We're going to wrap up our final thoughts on this week's game tomorrow. We're going to have multiple shows dedicated to the Commanders game as well, and then we'll keep you up to date with all the latest news on NYF.com and Syracuse.com.
Thank you, Ryan. Sometimes I just there's so much going on with this team that it's hard to keep on top of everything.
I can't believe you had any faith in humanity at all. You thought you're actually surprised by this, Ryan.
Yeah.
We appreciate the call, Ryan. Thanks for joining us.
You got it, guys.
It's Ryan Talbot at NewYorkUpstate.com. All right, so what do you see there?
All right, so this according to Nick Veronica of WIVB. A man allegedly took LSD and cocaine. Okay, that's full stop. In addition to alcohol and marijuana, prior to the home opener, jumped a 10-foot fence while naked and fell into the pit at the construction site where the new stadium is being built.
Gene, I told you, before you go to the stadium, lay off the cocaine, to put the LSD aside, keep your damn clothes on, man. I know you like to get wild up there in the press box, you and all the other beat reporters getting crazy up there. Yo, let's scale back the hard drugs and then let's stay out of the construction site.
This was at 12:20 prior to the game. The man was charged with criminal trespass and was released on an appearance ticket. Well, it's been a while since we've had nudity in the Buffalo Bills in the same sentence here. So
I'm surprised this hasn't gotten more traction. I'm surprised we haven't heard more of this story.
Oh, it will.
I mean,
Trust me.
if the Bills were losing, this would be the lead story, right? Like, yeah, not only did they lose, but now you got naked Bills fan, coked up naked Bills fan going into the construction site.
Oh. Yeah, there's another detail about this naked man there. It must have been in a porta potty or something like this. Had something all over him. Yeah.
What goes on? What goes on in Orchard Park?
I would think that show the video of this guy.
Nope.
That should scare kids straight.
Don't want to see
Scared straight. Kids, don't do drugs.
Don't want to see
this
man.
Is what can happen
don't
to
want
you.
to see coked out Bills fan naked, covered in feces, climbing a fence, going into a construction site. Don't need to see that. Nope.
Well, this guy, whoever, like that fool who went down on a railing and got fired from his job. Do you remember that story? And then he fell over, whatever, and luckily nobody got hurt underneath.
Didn't somebody die falling from a railing? Or am I making that up? Was that
not in
another
Buffalo?
stadium? Okay.
No, not in Buffalo. But this guy intentionally was doing this, sliding down. Then he fell to the lower level, and he was
That's
just
right.
Yeah. Well, he was working for some advertising agency in Buffalo. He got fired. Like every time, like, okay, let's see your resume. Great, let's just do a quick. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think whatever happened to the perps that threw the Brady toy on the field? Did we ever get a follow up on them?
No, I don't think we ever found.
Or are they
the perpetrator?
Are they not allowed? Were they discovered and no longer are allowed to go to Bills games, which would be a shame? What goes on? That is how you party for a home opener. We're going to do a mountain of blow. I'm going to do some LSD. I'm going to cover myself in excrement. I'm going to scale the fence of the construction site naked, and I'm going to come on.
I love how like Brian was like, well, like what is this story?
Do a quick search.
Yeah, I'm not talking about it. Good talking to you guys.
Quick search. Just do a quick search and you'll be enlightened.
That is not Talbot's brand here.
The Takeo Spikes story is, I don't know if it's a story, but it is ridiculous.
Embarrassing!
You invite these guys to come back to Buffalo, and I'm sure they love being recognized. They love the charge that they get from being on the field. They love all of it. What they don't love is being treated like second-class citizens while they're there. And that's exactly what it sounds like the Bills do as a team.
Embarrassing!
Throw them in a suite that has an obstructed view. Give them the key to the owner's suite for the game. Let them hang out with the owner's suite. What are we doing? It's such an easy fix.
You come back, you're the guest here. You're the honored guest. Hey, everybody, remember Takeo Spikes? Yay. And it's almost like, okay, you did your thing. Now beat it.
Yeah.
The idea that the Tim Graham reporting that Marv Levy, after he did this, was not invited up to a suite, was not invited up, much less the Bill suite, was just given a ticket to the game.
GA. Go hang with the peasantry. You peasant.
He's 91.
Yeah.
And Marv is such a gentleman. He's not going to push back. But good on Takeo. Because anybody that says, oh, what are you, ungrateful? No. Like, at least let him see the game. That's the first step. It's like, if you've ever been to an event with an obstructed view, there's nothing more annoying. Like, say, Fenway Park. I guess that's really the only place. Like, I went to a game actually in the new Giants Stadium, and they said, oh, it has an obstructed view. No, that's no problem. I'll take the ticket. No, it's annoying.
My first ever pro sporting event was obstructed view, Wrigley Field. Cubs, Phillies, and I remember sitting behind a pole and not being able to really see what was going on without craning my neck or scooching over. Couldn't really see everything because you're sitting literally behind a pole. So when Takeo Spikes sends out the picture of him sitting in the box and you see this overhang, the second level or third level, whatever it is, that's not a good look. It's a simple fix. Come hang in the owner's suite. Hey, what is up with Terry? Is he? I mean, we don't know enough about him as a person, but is he just like so introverted? He doesn't want, unless you're in his family, unless you're in his tight inner circle, he doesn't want to communicate with you. He doesn't want to be seen with you.
Okay. Is he like Elon Musk? Meaning he's so gifted in some areas, but when it comes to social graces, like, no, you really can't have
Just
him around.
aliens, man.
Yeah,
Just aliens. Completely out of touch. Completely out of touch with reality and the day-to-day lives of the common folk. Peasantry, you may part the seas so my police escort can get me to my luxury suite.
It
Pronto.
was so annoying, Danger. Like, okay, the cop is making us kind of go to the side here. Oh, here come all these SUVs, and they all have Penn State gear on them. Wonder who that might be.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we're going to happy hour next here in the Sports Bar. Plenty to be happy about on a Victory Monday. We'll recap everything from yesterday's win in Orchard Park as the Bills take care of business and now look ahead to the Washington Commanders for their Week 3 matchup. We've got a double header for Monday Night Football tonight. We've got some other news and notes to get to from the NFL. Lots of action from last night's and yesterday's games that we haven't even talked about yet. We've got a round of shots coming up as well.
Well, we got some breaking news here, too.
Breaking news in the Sports Bar.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Saquon Barkley out 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, so the ankle. It's a sprained ankle, probably a high ankle if they're saying 2 to 3 weeks. Tough.
It was going to be a tough putt anyways. They're Thursday Night Football this week in San
I was
Francisco,
expecting to miss at least this week's game. And this is the knock on Barkley, right? Guy can't stay healthy. Gives it everything out there. And, man, what a comeback for the Giants. You love that for the Giants. Tough break. But luckily, nothing too severe that we'll see him back here in a few weeks. All right, happy hour on the way. We'll give you some other news and notes from around the NFL as well. And you can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, 866-4FAN. The best barbecue in town? That's easy. It's Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub in East Rochester. Award-winning barbecue, lunch, dinner, catering, and must-try weekday specials like Taco Tuesday tomorrow, Wacky Wing Wednesday. Tuesdays, you got Good Smoke's chicken, pork, or beef gorditas for only $3. And Wacky Wing Wednesdays, you buy one, get one free wings. Good Smoke's giant signature wings. Buy one, get one free on all 6 or 12 wing dine-in orders. On top of that, Good Smoke's super happy hour features buy one, get one draft beers and $3 well drinks weekdays from 2 to 6. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country.
HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills back to 500 on the season after putting up 38 against the Raiders. It was the first game for guard Osiris Torrance playing in front of those Bills fans.
It was great. It was great. It reminded me how the swamp was back in Florida. Just the fans and the hospitality and the atmosphere just gave me juice all game, and I loved it.
Buffalo opening as a 6.5-point favorite this coming Sunday in Washington. Monday Night Football has not one but two games tonight. 7:15 for the Saints and the Panthers. 8:15 the Browns playing in Pittsburgh. Rochester Red Wings, their final home game, a victory on Sunday. They begin a series tomorrow in Indianapolis that'll wrap up the season. Michigan State has informed football coach Mel Tucker they intend to fire him. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Josh Allen with a huge bounce-back performance. Same goes for the Bills, who improved to 1-1 after a 38-10 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders.
Good to get a win. Great environment here in Orchard Park, Western New York. The fans are outstanding.
Just us getting back to who we feel like we are. Guys went out there and executed it.
Who's going to stop that offense, So
We're trying to go out there and play our best ball, and this is just something to give us a little confidence.
I mean, there's no stopping the Bills. It's Super Bowl or bust, let's be honest.
just win, baby.
There he is.
Mike Danger.
Wow, what another great performance by the Buffalo Bills.
Gene Battaglia.
And then you get the Commanders. Oh, pour it on for the Commanders, please. Like, oh, gosh, that's a Super Bowl team over there.
We got two, not one, but two Monday Night Football games tonight.
The Orioles and Rays clinched playoff spots yesterday when the Rangers lost.
Oh, Sabres hockey.
Blue Jackets head coach Mike Babcock announces his resignation.
This week's AP Top 25 poll was released yesterday.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester.
Welcome to Happy Hour on a Victory Monday. Appreciate you stopping by the Sports Bar, listening however you may be doing so locally at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app. You can find the Sports Bar wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for the Sports Bar. Also streaming on YouTube and Twitch at The Fan Rochester.
Yeah. All right, Bills fans, how you feeling today? 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Did yesterday really tell you anything? Well, it shows you what they're capable of. I guess we all knew that the Bills had this in them to dispatch of an inferior team. And I'm sorry, the Raiders are not that. Jimmy Garoppolo, that defense, yes, you have Max Crosby, although... Did anybody see Max Crosby yesterday?
Invisible yesterday. And in fact, I was watching from home and thought to myself, I don't think they mentioned him once during the game. I don't think he was involved in any play where you're like, oh, there's Max Crosby. Max Crosby is making his presence felt. He was erased by Spencer Brown. Best game of his Bills career, Spencer Brown, for sure.
Which, it's interesting, like hearing Josh Allen talk about it, if Spencer Brown has his head on straight because he was manhandled against the Jets. So that was a remarkable turnaround. And if the 2022 leading rusher in the NFL comes in, 9 carries, -2 yards, that's never happened before. The leading rusher one year and the next year puts up negative yardage in one game. That's unbelievable. The first time since they started keeping track of this stuff. So since the merger. So the fact that Jacobs was a big old zero. I thought Ed Oliver was a man. Jones yesterday in the middle. He makes a big difference. And the player I think I'm most excited about, we were joined by Ryan Talbot. He said, look, it wasn't, you saw a little bit, not in the stats sheet. If Greg Rousseau can be that 1B to Von Miller's 1A, because Rousseau certainly looks like he has taken a step forward here in year number 3.
For sure. Yeah, the entire defensive line really came to play. And defensively as a whole, save for that first drive. And that first drive made me a little bit nervous just because you saw something that we don't see traditionally. That's Trey White look mortal. I mean, he really started to look like just a guy who's not what he was. what we remember.
Well, basic reverse or an end around, basically, and you're getting sucked in like that. That's your responsibility on the outside to kind of at least hold the play up and wait for some help there. And White was quickly out of the locker room yesterday. He's a very emotional player. I don't think Trey White is the story here. I think he's going to be okay. He's not going to be Pro Bowl Trey White. The best corner on the field is Christian Benford, and Dane Jackson is also out there. It's a little concerning, like, of all the whiffs that Brandon Beane has had, the fact that 2 years later, 2 years, and I guess you could take it from the other standpoint that the Buffalo Bills are doing the right thing, like, hey, we're going to put the best players on the field, here they are, and they're not trying to save face by putting Kyer Elam. Kyer Elam, once again, a game day inactive.
Yeah,
can't even get on the field as a fourth corner.
I wonder what that's all about. I wonder... if it's just about we're going to continue to develop him, we're going to continue to kind of groom him to hopefully be what we need him to be. Is it just a matter of his technique not being where it needs to be, or them just whiffing on a player that, let's face it, in college was great press, doesn't really play the defense that the Bills are asking him to play, this kind of zone defense that we see in Sean McDermott's defense. Worth paying attention to, but today it's all about the positives, man. Josh Allen, that's how you get right. 0 turnovers, an 83.7% completion percentage for the game, 31 of 37, 274 yards with those 3 touchdowns. And think about the confidence that a lot of these Bills, young Bills, gained in this game against the Raiders. One of those touchdown passes went to Kyer Elam. I'm sorry, went to Kyer Elam. Khalil Shakir with one of the 3 touchdown passes.
Wow, there's so much I like about that. First of all, Shakir in traffic, able to get there, and then somehow is able to burrow his way the last 3 yards. And then for Josh Allen to kind of step up in the pocket and change his arm angle. The whole play was very difficult, and not many quarterbacks could actually do that. And to your point, I liked what we saw a little out of Dalton Kincaid, gave him just a little spoonful more. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was also kind of telling. The game is decided at this point, and I'm like, why are they keeping James Cook? Oh, they want to get him over 100 yards. Sure enough, handoff right up the middle. You're over 100 now. You're out of there.
James Cook has his best day as a pro. Spencer Brown had his best day as a pro, and Terrell Bernard with an interception and the opportunity to leap into the stands and be there with the fans. I mean, like, that's a big play in a game that now you can build off of. And while we didn't really isolate Terrell Bernard's play on last Monday night as a problem for the Buffalo Bills, we didn't really talk about him. I think now we can kind of view him through the jeweler's eye and say, all right, Bernard is looking the part, is making plays. We don't mention Matt Milano in the same breath because we just come to expect that Matt Milano is going to continue to play at an all-pro level.
Matt Milano, right, he is an all-pro. And Bernard, when it came to the alignment, it was funny how, like, it's alignment, but nobody could really say for sure. Was that the safeties? Was it the middle linebacker? We assume it was Bernard, but who knows? Like, you allow somebody to run 80 yards down the field, it's an entire defensive problem. You're not lined up correctly. That's bad. Look, there's not much negative we could say about yesterday, although maybe negative. I'm sorry, Raider fans. Like, what are you doing here? Like, Garoppolo kind of dancing around the way he did. I just wonder where that franchise is going. And as far as a defense, are the Buffalo Bills going to face a defense that feeble? The rest of Washington's going to give them a better test this week. Certainly Miami. Jacksonville. The Giants, you know they're going to be up for it. So you did what you had to do. But going back to Josh Allen, because that is the story of the game. He's not going to be the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. And that's fine. If you can lead your team opening drive, third quarter on a 9-minute drive. On a 9-minute drive. 9 minutes. Thank you.
I'm just like a trained dog over here, Gene. Just a monkey. Dance, monkey. Play the thing. Do the drop.
9 times.
9:01 that took. Thanks for coming, Raiders. That was fantastic. Can Josh Allen adapt to that style? I'd rather have a game like that where you don't need to throw the 50-yard post pattern. You can do it every once in a while, but just get first downs, use Diggs properly, use all these different receivers, get everyone involved yesterday. That was also a benefit to this game. All three running backs getting touches, getting some looks, Latavius Murray getting in the end zone. I mean, that's the type of game where you get everybody involved and you don't need the big play, and you just kind of move on.
I think that the majority of our conversation this week, and we will talk about their next opponent here in Washington, but when you're talking about the totality of the AFC right now, we're already looking ahead to week 4. I mean, Washington is going to present its own set of challenges. But I think we kind of all recognize what Washington is, young, emerging. They're undefeated, but they beat the Broncos. They beat the Cardinals. The Bills will present the biggest challenge of the season for that young team. And there's a lot to like on that defensive line, and Sam Howell hasn't been poor. But it's the Dolphins, week 4. That's the game that right now, especially with the recency of seeing them last night in Foxborough, beat New England again. Yeah, the Dolphins, I think, are going to present some challenges, and they've always presented challenges for the Buffalo Bills, but in a different way. And that fast offense that we saw last year looked even faster last night against New England. And I'm worried about the Bills' defense and how they match up against an older and a slower Bills defense and what they were able to trot out there last year.
Well, let's just kind of see, because there's different ways, and we had this point brought up by Talbot and others. The Bills play a different defense where if you're using the zone, you don't have to worry about Tyreek Hill or somebody just kind of running right past you and blowing you up. The Dolphins should be 3-0 heading into Buffalo. They get Denver this coming week. Sidebar. Denver 0-3 at home, taking on a Jets team that Sean Payton ran his mouth against.
Oh, that's going to be that game,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when we circled in the preseason.
I didn't think Denver would be 0-3 heading into that.
And by the way, no sympathy for Sean Payton. Was that pass interference? Probably. Am I upset that it didn't get called? Not at all. Not at all. On the 2-point conversion to end that game. So Washington, the opponent for the Bills, coming up here on Sunday. The other bit of breaking news in the NFL from this afternoon was the Saquon Barkley injury from the Giants' comeback win against the Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon, you're a defensive-minded head coach. You can't give up 31 points. You can't do that. That's atrocious. One and done. Right, we said it in the preseason. With each passing week, I think it's just going to become more and more clear. Like Jonathan Gannon is going to be a one and done.
You put up your little bit of fight. We have the story out of Kansas City today. Patrick Mahomes restructuring his deal. Now he gets the most money between 23 and 26, guaranteed $210.6 million. That is the most over 4 seasons. Y'all know how this works. The fact that Mahomes is going to take the money right now, and then you pay the piper 4 years from now when you hope the cap goes up. Voila, all of a sudden maybe you're able to tag Chris Jones, and this storyline just instantly disappears here. So the Chiefs doing their thing. Back to your story about the Dolphins, though, because you're contending that they might be, again, it's so early. And I hate those power rankings, that'll come out. Now, understand what power rankings are. Power rankings are midweek content filler.
Is there a better team right now in the AFC than the Miami Dolphins? That's the question. You don't have to rank them.
No, I'd say Baltimore plays a different style. If it's the postseason, I'm taking the Ravens all the time. That physical style, they're not going to blow people out, but they did what they had to do against the Texans. And then they did the thing they couldn't do last year. That was win in Cincinnati. They lost there in the postseason. So the Bengals, and I'm going to throw Browns fans a bone here. It's interesting tonight. What if Cleveland actually gets it done and they're 2-0? And they beat the Steelers, and they beat the Bengals. Nobody would have thought the Browns could be 2-0, but why not? They could join the party here with 2-0 teams. Which team are you the most concerned about? Is it the Chargers? Is it the Bengals at this point?
It's the Dolphins.
No. I mean, conversely, though. Chargers and Bengals are 0-2.
Oh, right. Which one of those two teams could bounce back? Yeah. I'd still say I would still say Cincinnati. If you're a Charger fan, you look at your head coach kind of the way the guy in Office Space did. You know what I'm talking about? Like, okay, Staley, what would you say you actually do here? Because that's a tough.
What would you say you do here?
To keep losing the way they're losing. 1-score games. Just
you can't lose in Tennessee.
Bad.
That's terrible.
It's bad.
No, I'm not signing up for the Dolphins as a 1 seed or a Super Bowl team.
I'm not either. But I'm saying right now, if you were to ask me the team in the AFC that is playing the best football right now, it's the Dolphins for me. Cincinnati can bounce back. They were 0-2 last year.
That's true.
You know, they can bounce back.
Although if Burrow,
if he's injured, that's different.
Then, yeah.
Yes. The Chiefs obviously will continue to be the Chiefs. Oh, tease for tomorrow. Survive in advance.
No, there's no tease. Like I
just look at the schedule. Dude, you know who we're taking tomorrow.
Dude, Danger. You bought right in. I couldn't believe like you're gonna beat the Buccaneers. I'm like, oh no. Like there's a little Met fan in you.
PJ Glasser telling us that he liked the Bears. I bought into what PJ had to say. He's a guy that we trust.
This.
We tail. We look. He looks at the numbers. He breaks them down. So when PJ said, "Danger, I like the Bears to cover. Take the Bears and the points." PJ, I won't get fooled again. I'm out. I'm out. On Justin Fields. I'm out. He's not a good football player.
Whoa.
You heard me. I'm out on the Bears. And who do they have week 3? Oh, they get to go down to Kansas City. Not just go up against the guy that they passed on in the draft, and Patrick Mahomes, but now their former head coach, who happens to be the offensive coordinator. That game's not going to be close.
That's not good radio if we kind of no, we're just going to be honest here. Like, we're going to give it away. 13 points. Chiefs, and you're laying that, right? Because the Chiefs haven't been sharp. They lost at home. They're going to be back home. That has all the makings of an ugly. Oh, that's also going to be on. Well, what does the local affiliate go with? Do they go with Cowboys, Cardinals, Chiefs, Bears on Fox?
Just a couple of bloodbaths next week. So, I mean, we'll spoil it for tomorrow or survive an advance pick. We'll let Gene do his pick tomorrow, but you know where we're going with this. And I'm not even ashamed. Like, good. If they're one of the bad teams we pick against throughout the course of the season, fine.
That would be the funny thing tomorrow. Maybe we should just kind of come on. Okay, and here's the pick. It's Kansas City. And we kind of move on. Sorry, like we're not even doing the thing this week, okay? You can't get all worked up for that.
Yeah.
Jaguars favored by 9.5 against the Texans. Nope, not it.
Nope. Can't do that one.
Ravens, we already took them. 7.5 over the Colts. Yeah, there's some big numbers here. One other note from the NFL, and this is good for anybody who cut the cord and somehow doesn't have ESPN. And
if you still have an antenna, if you still pick up over-the-air broadcasts, and there are people that will do that.
Well, I have to look into that because my provider doesn't give us certain things locally where, okay, maybe I want to watch this game, and you do have that latency issue, and if I really want to watch an NFL game live, but maybe you were upset that Spectrum had their little snafu with ESPN,
and DirecTV had an issue with Nexstar, the owners of locally of CBS. So they got that worked out luckily prior to kickoff on Sunday morning, right by the wire. If you're a DirecTV subscriber, you were sweating, wondering if you're going to be able to watch the Bills.
So there is a writer's strike going on, as you may or may not know. We live in a sports world here on this show, Danger, so we really don't need writers for this. I do like that NFL promo where they're kind of like, because people say, oh, it's fixed. It's
scripted,
fixed.
yeah.
Yeah, it's scripted. I'm going to go with a no-handed catch.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football will be shown on both ESPN and ABC moving forward.
This season. Right, because of the writer's strike. I mean, Monday Night Football on ABC just felt like a legacy. When it ended And I can't believe that it was 2005. It feels like yesterday, but 2005 is a long time ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been on ABC consistently since 2005 when ESPN kind of took it over. It just feels right. And I know they're unveiling a new Monday Night Football theme. I think Snoop Dogg is in it or something like that. I think I saw across my feed today. So that'll be part of the presentation, which is always fun. But yeah, with that Hollywood strike, the writers' strike, now you have kind of like limited new entertainment options for TV networks. By the way, where's our girl through this writers' strike? I mean, now you realize what's going on here, right?
So Hollywood is crawling with outsiders and foreigners. And if we kick them all out, you'll have nothing to watch but football and mixed martial arts, which are not the arts.
Well,
they gave me 3 seconds to say this. So.
No, because you're not able to work out a deal. I guess we're stuck with football, which is not the arts.
Football.
Which is in mixed martial arts, which are not the arts.
When somebody asks the question, name an actor or actress that came on as a guest and ruined a show, that would be Only Murders in the Building season 3 with that woman. You don't have to worry. You're not missing anything.
No, I'll add it to the list. So, look, you have Monday night games now on ABC as well as on ESPN. And I'm trying to remember with the schedule, this is the only Monday night doubleheader this season, right? Or are there more coming up?
Oh, no.
There are more, right?
There are more, including next week. Yes, next week. At 7:15, we have the Eagles and Buccaneers. 8:15, we have the Rams and Bengals.
Oh, a little Super Bowl rematch from a couple of years ago.
Wait a second. Can we get the Eagles and can we do a little swap? Eagles and Bengals and Buccaneers and Rams?
So you've got the doubleheaders and you'll have those. So even when there's not a doubleheader, it'll be simulcast on ABC, which is good news. I like that. Next season, again, ESPN will be the primary home of Monday Night Football, and ABC will carry a select few games, assuming that the writers' strike at some point comes to an end here, and they'll have new programming that they can roll out to us. But the doubleheader tonight, you got the Browns and Steelers kicking off just after 8 on ABC. It'll be the Saints wearing their black and gold against the Panthers.
We've had like an avalanche of embarrassing news to come from and around the Buffalo Bills organization. Can I review here, Danger?
Sure.
Well, I would start 1 week ago. That was pretty embarrassing. Like the idea that you failed to show up on Monday Night Football, and the Bills atone for that, okay?
Well, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, that's really right now number 5 on the list. The alleged comments of Terry Pagula in this Jim Trotter lawsuit. That's not good.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing.
Then you have Matty Glab suspended.
It's embarrassing.
For a hot mic, and why was the mic on, and who was the hero that clipped that, and the way Diggs responded or should have responded. Like, no, we don't need to talk about that. Well, then we had a story yesterday. There you have Takeo Spikes, legend of the game. Hey, you should be celebrating Takeo Spikes and what he meant to the franchise. Drought era guy that was a man and could have won Super Bowls wherever he went. He was just in Buffalo at that time. Well, how do you treat him? You give him an obstructed view. Who knew there was obstructed view seats at Highmark Field?
Embarrassing.
Oh, it doesn't stop there. We learned of this story today. WIV and other outlets reporting this. And I should just read you the headline, and then you can kind of deduce what you naked man on LSD and cocaine charged for going into construction pit at New Bill Stadium.
Embarrassing.
Covered in feces, by the way.
I don't know if I should laugh or cry. I don't know if I should be ashamed or proud.
Imagine you're walking into the game
ridiculous.
like, what are we looking at here?
It's ridiculous. And you know somebody was egging him on. You know there was somebody who was with him who was just egging him. Like, yeah, man, this will be a great idea. You should go ahead. I mean, he didn't know what he's doing. He's out of his mind. He's all hopped up and he's out of his mind. Let's go. Let's do that. That's the story you don't want public, yet it doesn't surprise me when I hear a story like this. Oh, I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to be I'm going to be high on coke, LSD, and marijuana. I'm going to scale a fence covered in feces, buck naked, and fall into the construction site.
Which the pit was about 30 feet.
That's dangerous.
It could have killed him.
Yes. And then he was taken to the hospital.
Minor injuries.
You imagine being the EMTs called on site, and that's what you got to deal with. God bless you guys. First responders, I don't know how you guys do what you do. We can complain about our job all we want, Gino. They actually work. We've got a report of a coked up fan who's covered in feces, naked, who scaled a fence, and we're going to have to go take him to the hospital. He fell 30 feet. That's terrible. So, not a great week in PR for the Buffalo Bills, for the Pagulas and the franchise. And the Takeo Spikes thing is an easy fix. Terry,
what are you doing?
Open up your door and let him hang, even if it's just for a little bit. What's the matter? You don't want to be bothered during the game? We know that you will, the expectation is that the peasantry will part like the Red Sea for you to gain access to the stadium. But come on, man. That's a bad look.
You should ask Takeo Spikes, or this week it's going to be Fred Jackson. Fred, would you like tickets in the stands? Would you like tickets in this suite? Would you like to sit in the owner's suite? For you and your family.
It's got to be the owner's suite. You offer it up because it's the right thing to do.
This, but Tom Brady goes back. No, that's a little different. He's Tom Brady, but he's sitting right next to Robert Kraft.
Yeah, it just shows a disconnection from reality. It's billionaire owners just being detached and disconnected from reality.
So I made this point earlier. If you're one, there's a lot of different ways you can go. You can go Abbott Road. You can go California. You can go completely the opposite side. I go in Big Tree because I got to park over at that lot, right? If you go Big Tree, I timed it out yesterday. A police escort coming through. Is this who is this coming through? Is it the Raiders? No, they were already at the stadium at that point. It's the Pagulas. Everybody move aside. Move aside. The Pagulas are coming through.
Yeah. That's an inconvenience. That's an annoyance. You got to open up the suite to your legend of the game. Come on. That's ridiculous. And when you have reports of previous guests complaining about their treatment, what are we doing? That's ridiculous. It is truly embarrassing. Open it.
Embarrassing!
It's an easy fix. Get on it.
Well, people ask me, why were fans, 3 and out, people were booing. I'm like, yeah, because chances are how many of the fans that are already entering in the stadium already had 2 or 3 in their system?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Let's get to a round of shots next in the sports bar. Let's get a couple in our system, Gino.
Yeah, this is we got a little hockey to talk about. Yeah, we definitely do. We got some college football we haven't even gotten to. And what's next for Shohei Ohtani? This happened Friday night under the cloak of darkness.
The NFL season is here. Now is the time to get incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, if you're a new customer, you can bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. Perfect for tonight's Monday Night Football doubleheader. So visit FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E. Put a little wind in my sails and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends today, 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Odyssey has sports for every fan.
Bills now 1-1 on the season, as the injury report might look a little different this week. Getting nicked up yesterday, Leonard Floyd and Micah Hyde. Dawson Knox on the team bouncing back after week 1.
You're thinking about all the mistakes we made last week. We can't let that carry over to this week. We always have that 24-hour rule. We're done talking about it on Tuesday, so we're just kind of ready to move on, wipe that bad taste out of our mouth. So it's definitely good to move on.
Buffalo opening as a 6.5-point favorite against the Commanders on Sunday. Monday Night Football, 2 games tonight. Saints and Panthers at 7:15. At 8:15, it's the Steelers and the Browns. Rochester Red Wings have 1 week left in their season. It begins tomorrow night in Indianapolis. Michigan State has informed football coach Mel Tucker they intend to fire him. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
We're doing shots. Today's top sports stories in the sports bar. Time for another round of shots with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
All right, I feel like there's a lot that we haven't gotten to yet this afternoon. We've been spending a lot of time talking about that get-right win for the Buffalo Bills yesterday in Orchard Park. It's time for a round of shots in the sports bar.
Yeah, it's officially official. We will not see Shohei Ohtani anymore this year. Maybe that was less. We'll see him with the Angels after missing an 11th straight game Friday with an oblique pull. That's where the Angels decided that's it. Or maybe Ohtani made the move. He shut down. Ohtani clearing out his locker prior to reporters having a chance to talk to him, so nobody really got his final thoughts here. The LA Times, and this is the part I find funny, says some of his personal belongings were visible in the trash can. I don't know, like an Angel hat? Like, what is what
are his personal belongings that he's throwing in the trash?
Yeah. The hope for Ohtani is to have the UCL surgery soon. He was trying for it on Saturday. Did not happen. A second Tommy John would mean 9 to 10 months of recovery. That means he will not be on the mound this coming season. He'll have to wait until 2024.
All right, so break this down. This was Bryce Harper had this happen after last season, right?
Yep, and then
came back as a batter earlier than expected.
He had it the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and they were saying originally All-Star break, but he came back in May. So I would think May would be kind of an optimistic timeline here, and you're getting Ohtani, only the batter, and a second Tommy John on the same elbow.
How many millions is this costing him? Or do you think it doesn't matter at all? Like we were saying, you're starting at $500 million, and it could get as high as $600 million. How does that go down knowing that you're going to get him after a second Tommy John?
I would like to learn more about this because with the world of streaming, for all the fans overseas and around the globe that want to watch Ohtani, and if he goes somewhere that you don't expect, like say the Mariners, which would not, knowing the history with Ichiro, and
that wouldn't surprise me.
No, that would be like, would that then all of a sudden kind of pull in a whole new market, and that team gets all these other revenue streams? That's why, I think he is going to get the money here. First time since 2015, Alabama football is not in the top 10. Crimson Tide, they won at South Florida. Not impressive, though, in a sloppy game, 17-3. Alabama is 13th. Remaining at top is Georgia, followed by Michigan. Texas now 3rd. Florida State 4th. Then USC. The biggest drop was Tennessee. They go from 11th to 23rd following their loss at Florida. And if you stayed up until 2 a.m. Sunday...
Guilty.
You saw Colorado come from behind to beat Colorado State in double overtime. Coach Prime's team drops 1 spot to number 19.
Yeah, I guess you lose a spot because of style points. Colorado State, man, they were physical. They were dirty. They were playing
I saw
dirty.
One hit.
They were dirty. I mean, that was an emotional game. You could tell that both teams were pretty fired up. And I guess them dropping a spot is justified. Now I think about what's left on their schedule, and it's like even Coach Prime would admit they're still probably 5, 6, 7 players away from being what he truly thinks that program can be. It's been a lot of fun. I think it's still an amazing story, if not the biggest story right now in sport. If they go ahead and beat Oregon, if they beat Oregon and USC,
forget it.
I think what's likely here, based on what we saw that first half against Nebraska, and for the majority of the game against Colorado State, Yeah, Oregon and USC have a different caliber of talent. I think they're gonna suffer their losses there.
Colorado was down by 8 late, 2 minutes to go. Not only do they get the 2-minute drive to go the length of the field, they get the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Unlike the pro team that plays in that state.
Denver. I've Russell Wilson, and Sean Payton. Like, I don't know if there's anything redeeming about either of those guys. I kind of felt like that was that had to have been a pretty good gut punch for you if you're a Bronco fan. The wave of emotion. You never expect a Hail Mary to be completed, and then you go for the 2 and you don't get it on a call that could have been, let's face it, could have been pass interference.
Penguins are up on the Sabres. Yes, we have Prospects Challenge hockey here. It's 1-0. They're in the first. Seth Appert and the Amerks coaching staff, they are once again behind the bench here. It was a 5 o'clock start today. That's the last of it. Matthew Savoy got hurt over the weekend, so no word on his status. And this is the thing that kind of is going to blow your mind. Ready? While the Bills are playing the Commanders coming up on Sunday, at that same time, the Buffalo Sabres will also be in the Delmarva region playing the Washington Capitals, a preseason opening up this Sunday.
Wow.
And Mike Danger, tell me if you're a big fan of this touchdown call, Ian Eagle on CBS.
All right, this was Ian Eagle in the Chiefs and the Jags.
Low snap. Mahomes moving pocket. Mahomes floats it up. Caught! Touchdown, Travis Kelce! Kelce finds a blank space for the score.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's like one of you know. I gotta admit, I had no idea until people started pointing out that's one of her songs.
It's perfect. She has a song called Blank Space, and it's perfect. It's a perfect call. It's just a great marriage of culture and pop culture and football. Kudos to Ian Eagle. I'm sure he was sitting on that one all week. Like, if Kelce scores, this is what I'm going to say. Prepared, ready to deliver, didn't let us down. That was great.
Sounds like that should have been a Joe Buck call or something, right? That could have been, or Tirico could have done that.
No, Tirico's too consumed with giving out Syracuse props during his broadcast.
What was that last night?
Like, okay, you beat Purdue.
Well, it was on NBC.
Yeah. Okay, you're such a company man. You beat Purdue. Like, congratulations on beating a Big Ten school.
Wait, is Purdue in the Big Ten? Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry. But that was Gene. If you're confused, write your hate mail.
Hey, look, we love Coach Babers. We love the orange. But Tirico waving the pom-poms during last night's broadcast. Like, okay, calm down.
Also, they've announced that Clemson game, they've moved that to the ABC noon kickoff in a few weeks at the Dome. So, all right, if the Orange are for real, that's a Clemson program, a little in decline.
That's right. Be Clemson.
Yeah, be Clemson.
You are always competitive against Clemson. Close the door on them this time. Actually, like last year, close game.
Yeah.
Finish them. All right, yeah, I love that call. That was fantastic. Doubleheader tonight, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, this is how the NFL has us by the couillons. I mean, I shouldn't care about either of these games yet. I can't wait to watch Carolina hosting the Saints. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that game. Browns, Steelers, that's fun. I can't wait. Get me a doubleheader tonight. I'll be flipping back and forth. I'll be up late watching football like a degenerate.
What's the bigger story if the Browns pull this off? It's wait a second, the Browns are physical, they're for real, or, oh my gosh, the Steelers are fraud at 0-2.
I guess it depends how it happens. If the Browns beat the Steelers at home in convincing fashion, then yeah, the alarms are going off in Pittsburgh. You don't have Cam Hayward. That's a big loss for your defense. You still have TJ Watt, and you need to see something out of that offense.
I want to see Bryce Young tonight. This is why the NFL has us. Pick a team. What's the storyline? When it came to Doug Flutie, like, they would always kind of give you the highlights here, and this is how it kind of looks. And I would tell people, hey, did you watch the whole game? Because if you watch the whole game, you're not getting the full picture. So when it came to Bryce Young, hey, here are the highlights here of his game in Atlanta, and he's doing some nice things, and here's a turnover here and a turnover there. I just want to see how this actually looks tonight. Are there things that he can build off of? Or is he just kind of running for his life in his second pro game here?
Well, we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to week 3 for the Bills. They're traveling to Washington, game you'll be able to hear on the Fan Rochester, pregame at 9, kickoff at 1. That's coming up on Sunday, and tomorrow we'll do as we do every Tuesday. We'll talk to Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard and begin to discuss that matchup against Washington. And our Fantasy Goomba is coming in tomorrow. Tony Cotillo from Win Daily Sports will be stopping by as well. We'll talk waiver wire claims in fantasy football. Gene will have a survive and advance pick. That's all coming up tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 here in the Sports Bar. Last call is next in the Sports Bar. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is open at 866-4FAN. And I don't want to delay anymore. Let's give you tickets to see Adam Sandler at Blue Cross Arena. That's Wednesday, November 8th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Win them for free when you're caller 5 by calling 866-4FAN, 866-4326. We close up shop next with Last Call in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country and get the inside scoop from experts. AUDACY. Odyssey.
Hey, it's Tiki Barber. eBay Motors has everything you need to keep your ride or die alive. From superchargers, brakes, exhaust kits, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors levels your baby up to its peak performance. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Is your old boiler making some less than positive noises? It could be on the way out. Why wait until it gets ice cold outside to find out it's going to be ice cold inside? Up here, winter doesn't play, and neither do Navien boilers. You know Navien for their industry-leading tankless water heaters, but Navien also offers high-efficiency boilers built with quality materials, a compact design, and a strong warranty. Take advantage of a federal tax credit of up to $600. Take that chill outside with Navien boilers, the ultimate heating and comfort experience. Find your local Navien boiler installer at boilercomfort.com.
I'll watch your eyes light up as I hand you a perfectly crafted Tom Walls ice cream cone. I'm Dan from Avon Tom Walls. I'll make you an ice cream cone masterpiece that's Michelangelo worthy. Tom Walls. Good.
Tom Walls. Welcome fall cleanup with a smile from the comfy seat of your new John Deere compact tractor from Land Pro. 0% for 84 months and thousands of dollars off John Deere MSRP will help get that to-do list done in no time. Save money and time by visiting your local Land Pro equipment store today.
If a part-time job that pays up to $27 an hour offers a $1,500 or $5,000 signing bonus for qualified drivers with weekends and holidays off sounds appealing to you, then you should apply now at First Student. First Student offers paid training for new bus drivers. Whether you're a retiree looking for part-time or you need to supplement your income, First Student has positions for you right now. Apply at workatfirst.com. That's workatfirst.com. First Student is an equal opportunity employer.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Green 420! Green 420! Hot, hot!
Your game day vape place is at the Cloud Factory Vape and Smoke Shops, where great tasting at a great price doesn't have to be a fantasy. The Cloud Factory is stocked with an MVP selection of glass tailgating accessories. You might even find something in your favorite team colors. Shop the Cloud Factory Vape and Smoke Shops for a fine selection of cigars, wraps, papers, CBD, Delta concentrate, and flower devices. Across from Debbie Supply in East Rochester and Ridge Road in Webster.
First down.
Liberty Mutual presents How to Be the Life of the Party.
Okay, first turn the music off.
Then ask for everyone's attention. Now, tell them that you customized your home insurance with Liberty Mutual and saved hundreds. Boom! Now everyone knows you're not just a pretty face. You have some brains inside that face that know how to save hundreds on home insurance. Woo!
Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com. Based on recent survey of new customers who switched and saved. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Rock those leg warmers and tease that hair because tickets for the Ultimate 80s Party to benefit Rochester Hearing and Speech Center are on sale now. Saturday, November 4th. Join us to show off your best 80s moves, relive the nostalgia, and help our cause. For tickets, visit rhsc.org.
No one talks more about local sports than the Fan Rochester. That's because we're the only sports station with hosts who actually live here. 95.7 and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. 866-4FAN. 866-4326. Fun afternoon. Western New York is always a better place to be on a Victory Monday.
It was as comfortable a win as we've had in a while at the home stadium.
Made everybody a little nervous at first. Everybody's a little nervous at first.
Well, I didn't like the way that they just kind of sliced and diced there. But sometimes it takes you a half a second to dial in. And, yeah, after the first offensive series and after the first defensive series, point out a more one-sided game. Maybe the Steeler game last year you got to go back to?
Yeah. A convincing win for the Buffalo Bills. Now they look ahead to Washington, which is Sunday afternoon, and the Bills will look to go 2-1, keep pace with Miami, who won last night to go to 2-0 in Foxborough. Tonight, it's a doubleheader. You've got the first game here kicking off right around 7 o'clock, 7:15 from Carolina. The Panthers hosting the Saints, and then it's the Steelers hosting the Browns just after 8 o'clock on ABC.
One story you can get to in shots. Mike Babcock is out in Columbus. Did you see this?
Tell me this is a bizarre story where he was hired and basically fired or walked away before he ever coached a game for Columbus.
Yeah, he was requiring players hand over the phone so he could look at their photos.
Huh?
Look at their search history. Yeah, right. I didn't know this was. He just basically it's kind of an HR thing. Right?
I mean, I could see you saying, "Hey, team meeting, phones down, phones away, hand over your phones, team meeting."
Yeah,
I get that. I can get with that. Or you're in the facility, turn your phones off. I can get with that. Turn your phones over so I can look at your search history and look at your pictures.
Yeah,
no,
and
that's weird.
Fully focused on hockey. Yeah.
I mean, yes, I get that. You can, but why? I need to see your history. I need to see your photos. That's weird. I'm all for focus on, turn off your phones. Hey, it's dinner time. Kids, put away your phones. Hey, team meeting, put away your phones. Hey, you're in school.
Have you been
put away
to
your phones.
One of these concerts where they give you the little pouch and it goes, and it's liberating. It honestly is.
Oh, it's nothing better.
Yeah, okay, I can live without my phone for 2 hours and watch this concert.
It's why I love going to Hamlin Beach. We go camping. The service up there is next to nothing. It's a couple of days with no service. You can't get a hold of me. I can't get a hold of you. You're off the grid entirely. It's the best. Well, that's unfortunate for Columbus. I mean, they were probably excited about getting Babcock to be their coach, given his history.
Coach, that style is
He's washed.
Over.
Yeah.
It's over. The totalitarian coach, I mean, Torts has kind of altered his thinking here a little bit. He's as close, I would think, but he's changed along the way. Babcock apparently has not.
Well, that's an interesting story.
Seth Appert, head coach in No, I want him here. No.
For selfish reasons, we want him here. Yeah, it's weird to think that we'll have preseason hockey this weekend. Wow. Goes by fast. If you missed any of this afternoon's show, we'll have it for you wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen in when you search the Sports Bar, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and, of course, the free-to-download Odyssey app. Our chats with Ryan Talbot from NewYorkUpstate.com and Dan Fates of 13Web Sports and BuffaloPlus.com up online already. You can get those at thefanrochester.com. Again, search out the Sports Bar. Wherever you get your shows. And with Odyssey Rewind, by the way, you can go back and listen to any part of the show that you may have missed for the next 24 hours. Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard tomorrow at 3:25. Tony Cotillo of Win Daily Sports tomorrow at 4:25. Zach Gelb next on The Fan.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your